Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto were blessed with good fortune and good luck part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. We've been here for a week. When is Kakashi-sensei going to pick us up? Came the indignant shout of a 12-years-old youth. His voice rattled his teammates who were in the room with him. The obvious female of the group looked at him with only annoyance, while the other male of the group seemed content to look out the window in an obvious attempt to ignore the rambunctious antics of his teammate. However, the female of the group wasn't so forgiving. Would you calm down, Naruto? Kakashi-sensei is a jonin. He had an urgent jonin meeting back in Konoha. I'm sure he'll come and pick us up soon. Would it kill you to have some patience like Sasuke-kun? The girl asked in almost a snarl, fed up with her teammates' apparent childish frustrations. She merely shook her head as she watched him turn over off the mat and look out the window and into night sky of Takigakure, or rather called the village hidden in the waterfall. His spiky, blonde hair swayed in the night breeze. He snorted at the idea of being compared to his cool teammate in the corner who had been looking out the window like he was. He honestly figured that his frustrations weren't entirely unfounded. It had been a week ago that he and the rest of Team 7 had helped a shinobi from Takigakure by the name of Shibuki in escorting him back to his home. That was when Naruto had the crazy adventure of fighting the bastard, Suion, who tried to usurp Shibuki by using that special bottle of hero's water. Naturally, Naruto kicked his ass before he drew upon more of that strange chakra from before. Well, Naruto had helped a friend and Shibuki was going to become the head of the village like his father had intended. Naruto wasn't about to turn aside good fortune. However, as nice as it was here, Naruto really wanted to go home and get some ramen if at all possible. But they couldn't leave until Kakashi got here. TCH, patience like team? He probably can't wait to leave either. He's probably more eager than I am to leave, Sakura-chan, Naruto remarked. A swift punch over the head was his answer, which made Naruto grumble. Why was he the only one who got hit all the time? He didn't think he said anything wrong. As Uchiha Sasuke watched Haruno Sakura pound her fist over his blonde teammate's head, he found his mind going over what Naruto had said. While he wasn't ever going to admit it, Naruto was actually right. Sasuke did want to leave. He hated that he couldn't do something with his time while in this village. Because it was a different shinobi village, he couldn't train or practice techniques without allowing for the possibility of some foreign shinobi stealing them, treaty or not. Sasuke hated it when he wasn't doing something that could have furthered his goal. He too wished that Kakashi would hurry up with whatever he was doing and come get them so that he could go home and train. Though, as he said previously, he wasn't going to give Naruto the satisfaction of knowing that he was right about what Sasuke was thinking. Sasuke blinked himself out of his thoughts just in time to turn to see a rather interesting sight. I'm just saying that there isn't anything to do here. I'm going to become the future Hokage of Konoha. I need to train to get better than I am right now. We're not getting it done in this village, Databayo. Also, why do you keep hitting me whenever I say something? Naruto said while Sakura growled. Her fist was actually tightening in her hands as a vein nearly snapped in her forehead at her teammate. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much stupid stuff comes out of your mouth sometimes, Naruto? I keep trying to knock some sense into that damn thick skull of yours. You didn't have any parents growing up, so you continue on with these stupid, childish dreams of yours. Kiba, Shikamaru, even Chuji all have a better shot of becoming the Hokage than you do. Sasuke-kun has the best shot. Bring yourself down to earth, Naruto. Someone like you will never become the Hokage, Sakura said with a heavy huff. Her eyes widened before she placed a small hand over her mouth. Sasuke raised an eyebrow as the silence suddenly became laced with a hidden pressure. Not even Sasuke wanted to move from his spot for fear of breaking this long string of silence. However, when you pull a string, sooner or later it will snap. Naruto? And Naruto, I didn't mean, Sakura attempted to explain as Naruto's hair shadowed his eyes. For once in his life, Naruto Uzumaki was tired of being nice. For once in his life, Naruto was tired of being the one picked on, and Naruto was tired of always being the one others said that he couldn't do something. What do you know? What the hell would you know about me not having parents, Sakura? Even Sasuke knows what it's like more than you. Just once I would like someone to tell me that I could do it. Is that too much to ask for? I get nothing like Sasuke gets it. We're both orphans. What is it about me that's so damn different from him? Why am I always the one who's different? Naruto asked as he shoved Sakura out of the way before rushing out of the door to their room and down the hallway. Sakura and Sasuke watched him go before Sasuke turned to Sakura. At that moment, Sakura wished Naruto was back because Uchiha Sasuke was giving Sakura one of the harshest glares she had ever seen in her time with the Uchiha heir. Sakura swallowed the lump in her throat. Uchiha Sasuke was not pleased. Naruto kept running and running. He didn't know how far he was from Takigakure, and truth be told, he really didn't care. The towns weren't very far for shinobi that took to the trees at breakneck paces. It had only taken Naruto about half an hour to make it to the next town away from Takigakure, but in his rage that half an hour must have been like either 3 or 4 minutes. He couldn't stop the tears that fell down his face as he landed to the ground and huffed. Stupid Sakura. Stupid Sasuke. Stupid Kakashi. Stupid everyone else. Why is it only impossible for me to become the Hokage? Why do only Iruka-sensei, Ayam-chan, and Tsuchiyaji believe in me? Why can't my own team believe in me? Naruto asked. His only answers were the sounds of the crickets and other night bugs that came out when the moon did. With time, Naruto wiped his tears away. He swore to do no more crying. Crying solved nothing. He had spent too many sleepless nights crying about the situations that he found himself in. He resolved to do no more of that. He would make them all see. He would make them all see that he would become the fucking Hokage, and he would earn the village's respect. He would earn both Sakura and Sasuke's respect. No one would say that Uzumaki Naruto was incapable of doing the impossible. Though Naruto calmed himself, he wasn't ready to go back yet. Sakura's words about him having no parents had truly hurt. It wasn't his fault that he didn't have a guardian. What did she know of the pain, the loneliness, the sorrow of wondering if even the people who gave life to you cared for you? She knew nothing. And just because she got that one luxury, that one privilege, she was able to gloat about it in his face. Now that was something Naruto wasn't going to take. I guess I'll just go to the town, stay a bit, and then go back, Naruto told himself. He offered a small nod. That sounded like a good idea. Even Naruto needed some space from his team. So, with that plan in mind, Naruto made his way into the neighboring town from Takigakure. Its town lights were blazing as many people walked the streets. Naruto's eyes were nearly sparkling as he watched various employees of food stands attempt in vain to get other people to sample their products. He could see many, and he meant many, people exiting either casinos or gambling hotels either laughing or crying. Naruto shook his head. It was odd when it brought him back to his own gambling experiences. He remembered when he had a cheeky bet with Iruka. The man had been crying 2 days later at giving Naruto as much ramen as he wanted for a day. At the time, Naruto hadn't thought too much about it, but as he thought about it now it was actually rather funny. Naruto wasn't sure how much time had passed, but it must have been quite a while since he heard his stomach growl. Naruto groaned before he opened his frog wallet and glanced inside. He actually had quite a lot of money, though it wasn't compared to what he had in some of his scrolls at home. Naruto gave a rather small sigh. He supposed he could go into a casino. He was technically an adult. Though Konoha was one of those villages that was rather edgy about allowing anyone under the age of 16 to do such things as drink, gamble, or other things. A very odd system of doing things, but it was to be expected. Gah! I want some damn food! Naruto shouted, not once remembering the vendors that he had passed to get to where he was. It didn't take long for Naruto to hear chuckling and laughing. He blinked as he looked up. Men and women in fancy-looking kimonos and suits were all walking into the forest. Naruto narrowed his eyes. He could never understand the ideas of the rich nor what they did with their time, and damn him if he would ever try, but he was curious. AAP couldn't hurt. Who knows, maybe they had some awesome food that he could eat. So, the wheels of fate, which Naruto still didn't believe existed, began to turn as Naruto trailed the people via the treetops. He couldn't make out much of what they were saying without exposing himself, but he could hear 3 distinct words. Buying expensive rare? What the hell are these people talking about? Naruto thought to himself. It could probably have been buying expensive or rare foods, a thought that nearly forced Naruto's stomach to give him away with a small growl. Naruto forced himself out of that idea if only so that he didn't get caught. He had managed to paint the entire Hokage mountain in broad daylight without anyone seeing him. A bunch of snobby, self-absorbed rich people with no formal shinobi training would be a cakewalk for him. It probably helped that his orange jumpsuit was dual-sided. Black on the inside and orange on the outside. Naruto just had to turn it around. Screw you orange haters. After about 5 minutes of walking, Naruto noticed a multitude of people beginning to funnel into a rather small house. How the hell could a house hold this many people? Still, when you grow up an orphan, you learn to pick up some hints. Naruto could tell something was off about the house. Why would this place have this many guards? Naruto asked. He could see at least 3 mercenaries on the room and 4 others guarding the 4 corners of the house. Each had a blade about as big as Naruto himself. Though Naruto hoped none of these guys knew how to use it like Zabuza. Just the thought made Naruto shiver. Still, this interested Naruto even with the danger. Naruto was getting that food. Naruto was hardly unaccustomed to dangerous situations. If there was one thing Iruka always complimented about Naruto, it was that he was 2 things. He was unpredictable, and he had a very dangerous mind. Walking a couple of feet away from the house, Naruto gave a breath before he crossed his fingers. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto called out and created 2 clones. With a firm grin, Naruto enacted his plan. He and the 2 clones fell behind the cover of some trees as they watched people pass. Naruto saw one man who was lagging behind the rest. He ordered the clones to move. They quickly pulled the man into the bushes as Naruto knocked him out and laid him against the trees. You might be thinking, Naruto Uzumaki, stealing and kidnapping? Why would a child with such innocent and a heart of gold do such a thing? Heroes don't do that. Well, Naruto was an orphan and this was a mission. Missions were off the books and an orphan did whatever they had to do to survive. Naruto wasn't as innocent as he probably led some poor sap to believe. As he pillaged the man of all he could find, he gawked as he opened the man's wallet. This guy's fucking loaded, Naruto thought as he actually had trouble counting the bills and coins of yen and ryo in the man's wallet. It was like 30 or 40 times what Naruto had in his own wallet. Naruto grinned. The man was rich. He wouldn't be needing these. Naruto chuckled as he added the man's funds to his own. The amount of ramen this would get him was staggering, with enough left over to do with what he pleased. Still, Naruto didn't stop there as he continued to give the man a one-over. He reached deep into the man's pockets and blinked when he felt something hard. He picked it up and held it in his hand. A ring? Naruto asked himself. The 2 clones merely watched the original finger the ring in his hand. It was a white ring with a shiny gem in its center. The gem looked purple at its core. Naruto had to admit it looked beautiful. Maybe it was worth something. Well, whatever, Naruto quickly placed it on finger. Rings were to be worn, right? Though it did look tacky. Having all that he needed, Naruto tied the man up and then left him before he turned to his clones. You guys know the drill, he said. They both nodded before they gave the same hand sign and a puff of smoke covered their forms. The attendee to the door sighed in relief. Finally the people were settled. This job sucked. Why couldn't rich people have better things to do with their time? But he was getting paid for this, so it wasn't like he cared either way. Alright boys, let's lock the... He paused when he heard more walking. He looked and noticed a boy with yellow hair, blue eyes, and whisker marks walk into his vision. He wasn't alone as he was surrounded by 2 other mercenaries, each with a sword at their waists. 1 female and 1 male surrounded him. The mercenaries that guarded the building narrowed their eyes, but the attendee stopped them from moving. He gave a rather small smile as the blond boy stopped in front of him. Isn't it past your bedtime, little man? This isn't a place for kids, the man said. Truth be told, he was talking out of his ass here. There had been too many instances where young lord or young ladies had been to this type of thing. Sure, they had guards, but usually they were with their parents. This was a little suspicious after all. Forgive him if he would have a little fun. The boy snorted as he looked up at the man, his hard blue eyes glaring into his form. Ugh, I feel like Sasuke, Naruto thought before he took a deep breath. My parents thought I would be fine on my own. I don't see why they needed to bring guards with me. It's my birthday, so Toussaint and Ka-san said I could get some tasty eats, Naruto said. He hadn't expected the attendee to laugh as he held his stomach and hunched over. Though despite his confusion, Naruto didn't remove his gaze. Is that what they call it? Well, they aren't wrong. We got a lot of tasty eats for your kid. So it's the birthday man's first time here, eh? Well, did your mom or dad give anything to you? To show me that you aren't lying? He asked with a small smile. Naruto swallowed the lump in his throat. Keep cool, Naruto. This was just like that time you posed as an Inuzuka to put female dog hormones on all the men and women before unleashing all the dogs. Oh man, that was a funny sight. Well, I don't know if Toussaint was supposed to give me anything, but Ka-san gave me this ring. Told me I'd be fine, Naruto said, showing the white ring with the purple gem to the attendee. Naruto noticed the man's face actually pale at the sight. Nearly all color seemed to drain away from him. The man quickly verified the ring before swallowing his attitude and any of his humor. Are alright this way, young lord. We'll show you your accommodations, he said as he opened the door. Naruto merely nodded as he and his disguised mercenaries walked inside. The attendee closed the door as Naruto walked into the hallways. He blinked. The house was fancy as he expected, but he didn't see any of the people who had previously settled into the house. Good evening, young lord. If you would follow me, I will show you to the rest of the festivities, a woman said as she came from a separate room. Naruto had to admit that she looked beautiful. Her clothes really didn't leave much to the actually put Sakura to shame with her beauty. He couldn't resist the blush that appeared on his face. She merely giggled before opening a door which seemed to go into the very depths of the earth. Naruto followed after her. Somehow, someway, this was a bad idea. Naruto and his clones followed her down the flight of stairs. Is there any food here? Naruto felt the need to ask. The woman chuckled as she looked at her clipboard. Most don't come here for the food, young lord, but we do have refreshments if it suits you. We'll make sure that you are well tended to, she said with a smile. Naruto just chuckled nervously as they finally made it to where he heard hundreds of people talking. Once they came into the main floor, Naruto gawked. So many people were eating delicious foods. The aroma filled his nose as Naruto nearly felt the urge to drool, but he had to keep his appearance. No matter how hard it was. If you will follow me, young lord, I will show you to your private room. There you will have refreshments, and we will give you our menu, she said. Naruto grinned and nodded. He could hardly wait. It hadn't taken long for the woman to bring Naruto to his room. She unlocked the door, which was seated behind a mirror. There had to have been more than just his because he saw plenty of other ones. Might I interest you in our menu before you get started? Because of your ring's benefits, you are allowed to see the special auction before the people who sit in the seats below. We ask that you place your value wisely, she said. Naruto just nodded. Oh, so some kind of item auction was going on. Well, Naruto didn't mind. Maybe he could get some kind of neat sword, or maybe even something for his house. Sure, Naruto said. The woman nodded before she left the room for a quick moment, allowing Naruto and his clones to glance around. Boss, I don't think this is a good idea, the female mercenary said. Naruto was actually inclined to agree, but it all looked so damn cool. The chair he was sitting in was even more comfortable than his couch back at home. How the hell could a chair be more comfortable than a couch? Naruto sighed as he watched the people eat. He didn't really know how much time had passed him by. He probably should have hurried back to his team, but he couldn't deny that he was having a lot of fun. His clone would have liked to have tried the chair as well, but it was a glass window. He could still hear everyone outside talking about rich people, things like what expensive clothes to get, which place to go for a vacation, or things like that. Naruto just tapped his finger on his armrest. In a couple of more moments, the woman returned with a tray of food and a small book. Your food, young lord, she said, placing the food in front of him. One of his clones wiped his mouth with a cloth, forcing the woman to laugh slightly. Naruto rubbed the back of his head before he apologized. The woman didn't seem to mind before she handed Naruto the catalog. I hope you find everything to your liking, young lord. I will have an attendant stay with you. He will be your bidder. He will also do anything you ask or require more assistance. I take my leave, young lord, she said as she bowed and went away. Naruto just nodded as she closed the door. She couldn't have closed it fast enough before Naruto dived into the exquisite cuisine. He even allowed his clones to eat some of the food, and Naruto had to admit that it tasted even better than he could have imagined. The buttered rolls, the warm noodle broth, the tenderness of the meat. Naruto had never had such a dinner before in his life. He couldn't even savor it that it was so good. He actually had to ask one of his clones to go order more. He was actually on his fourth plate before one of his clones took the book into their hands. Boss, don't you think you should read this over? See what kind of cool things we can get, instead of stuffing your face in? The male mercenary asked. Naruto took a hard gulp of the food he had eaten. That wasn't a bad idea. Naruto did like cool things. He also loved showing up a certain teammate of his when he could. Yeah, let me look it over, Naruto said as the clone handed him the menu. Naruto quickly opened it, and at that moment he felt his heart sink, his stomach clench, and his mind shut down. His ears picked up on noise. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. For your viewing and buying pleasure, we have a great showcasing tonight. A lot of rare exotics for you today. Have a fun look, the man shouted as Naruto turned the pages of the menu. Men, women, and children for money. He looked up, and if his fears weren't apparent then they were now, as he saw a man with sorrowful eyes chained to the podium in full view of everyone. A simple cloth was the only thing that separated his modesty from viewing eyes. BB boss, this is the female clone mercenary said, but both quickly noticed Naruto jump to his feet. It was time to go. He was in a slave auction. Oh, this was bad. This was very bad. This was the worst it could have possibly been. Whoever said Uzumaki had good luck could go and shove a sword where the sun didn't shine. Naruto bolted for the door and grabbed the handle. His clones fell into pace with him as he opened the door. Naruto had to get out of here. However, his hopes were dashed when he noticed the attendant that the woman said would come, looking down at him. Something the problem, young lord? Why are you and your party leaving? He asked curiously. Naruto bit his lower lip, his creative mind racing as he attempted to come up with an excuse. He doubted he could just knock this guy out, as that might have alerted everyone in his vicinity to him being an imposter, and Naruto didn't want to know how Kakashi and the rest of his team would feel about him in this situation. He gave a small breath and composed himself. I looked through the menu. I didn't have anyone I wanted. I figured I would go home and try another time, Naruto said. The man smiled, but it was a smile that told Naruto he was nowhere near close to getting out of this situation. The man but have noticed his slight stutter. I see. The young lord is uneasy about purchasing his first slave. Everyone is like that the first time they come here. However, master, you must realize the repercussions of such a thing. You see, when your Tu-san and Ka-san gave you that ring, they also agreed that whenever they or anyone in their family came, then they would purchase at least one slave for benefits, is all, young lord. If you do not purchase one, then we will rescind the membership, he said. Well, that was fine in Naruto's eyes. Let them rescind the damn thing. Serves the damn people right. Also, to make sure your parents would keep quiet about the club, well, we would have to take many preventative measures with them. Not to scare you, young lord, but this is a business after all. You wouldn't want anything to happen to your parents, would you? He asked. Naruto's mind was actually in a haze. His body felt like it was being tied to a weight. He didn't know these people. He could probably just say screw it, but that would have been bad for him as well. What kid wouldn't like to help their parents? The man would have known something was wrong if Naruto refused. Naruto couldn't ask for such a convenient excuse like to use the bathroom now without them most likely taking someone with him to make sure he didn't run off, and this place was under the house from earlier. There was no way there were any doors or windows for escapes. Seeing the boy's plight, the man merely smiled. Who knows, young lord? You might actually be a kind master. No is saying you have to be some cold, heartless brute, but you must purchase something from this place. It's the way things go around here. Surely you understand. Come, I will help you find a good slave of your own, he said. Naruto felt a piece of himself die as he hung his head down. He really wished Kakashi was with him right now. Hell, he even wished Sasuke or Sakura was with him right now just so he wouldn't be going through this alone. His feet felt like lead as he walked back to his chair and sat down in it. The man took a chair next to him and sat as well. The clones merely stood at Naruto's side, concerned. This wasn't how they had planned things out at all. This was bad. Very bad. Oh, look at that one. Young lord, a fine specimen, the attendant said as Naruto turned his eyes to see a man, different from the first one, standing on the podium. Naruto looked away. He would have really liked to leave now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, look at these muscles. Look at this firm face. A hard-working man. Willing to do any and all things for you and more. Never talks back. Strong and mighty. In more ways that one. Ladies, the bidder said. Naruto scrunched up his face when he heard some of the women laugh and chuckle. He felt the urge to puke. It was even more disgusting when he heard the bidder laugh. Bid starting at 35,000 yen, he called. A woman raised her hand. 40,000. A man shouted. The bidder pointed him out. Higher and higher the price on this man's life came as Naruto's heart dropped lower and lower. Don't want a strong man, young lord? Someone to help around the house? The man asked. Naruto just shook his head. A sound came crashing down, just like the crashing down of his spirit. Sold. To the lady in red for 70,000. The bidder shouted as the woman smiled to herself in her chair. Naruto grumbled. He hoped she burned. He noticed a woman stand up to the podium. Here we have a nice-looking woman. A kunoichi of Iwagakure. Captured for trying to break into a fellow club member's house. He obviously didn't want her. Can you tame her? Just one of the many splendid surprises we have today. A skilled woman in the art of killing, best keep an eye on this one, all you men and ladies. Skilled in the art of seduction, she will give anyone the time of their life that no cheap prostitute ever could. Bid of 450,000. He called out. Naruto couldn't hide it. She was rather beautiful for a shinobi coming from another village. Her shoulder-length brown hair was easily apparent. He had no idea what she was capable of doing, but it looked like she was strong. Her tears were insane and they made him curse. She was humiliated and Naruto could understand why. Well, he kind of couldn't, but he knew what it was like to be humiliated. He sighed. Maybe he could just buy her, free her, and then let it go with that. With a sigh, Naruto looked at his wallet. The money he had stolen, in combination with his own, was more than enough to buy at least 10 of this woman even if the price raised. Ah, found a sight, young lord? The attendant asked. Naruto felt the bile rise in his throat at each word that came from the man's mouth. He resisted the scowl that was nearly upon his face. I guess the words tasted like sand in Naruto's throat as the bidder noted the man next to Naruto raise his hand. 450,000 to the young lord in the back. Any takers? The bidder asked. Naruto hated seeing some people eye him in mild surprise. He even noticed a woman looking at him. Her tears burned her face as she looked into Naruto's eyes. He was sure he saw a look of surprise in her eyes before it was erased. Naruto blinked. 500,000 to the gentleman on the left, the bidder said. The woman and Naruto's eyes tore from each other as Naruto glared down to see a man looking at him. Naruto cursed. He was not in the mood to be toyed with right now. He turned to the man. He nodded. 750,000 to the young lord, the bidder shouted. The man at the left widened his eyes as Naruto folded his arms. This wasn't him. He didn't like bidding for someone's life, but hopefully this would work out for both her and for him. 850,000 to the man on the left, the bidder said. Naruto's fist clenched. If he ever made it out of this, he was never betting in against people for money ever again. Going once. Going twice, the bidder said. Naruto quickly pulled the attendant's arm and whispered into his ear. The attendant widened his eyes and held up his hand. 1 million ryo for the Iwa Kunoichi, the bidder shouted. People murmured as they looked at Naruto. He wasn't sure how harsh his look was, but people shied away from it in some type of fear. Sold to the young lord. Let's give a hand to his first slave, the bidder shouted as the Iwa Kunoichi dropped down the podium and walked away. Naruto stood to his feet. There, I bought one. I'm leaving, Naruto said as he made his way for the door. Are you sure, young lord? There is still a wide selection. It is customary for all members to stay until the end. Wouldn't want any missed opportunities. Maybe you will find someone else that you will like, the man said with a grin. Naruto's hand reached the doorknob. He was going to pound this guy's face in. Naruto had just offered to pay 1 million ryo for a person. How many missions worth of money was that? The sad thing? Naruto had so much more money left over. Can I buy all of them? Naruto asked. The man laughed as he turned. Rather eager, aren't we? Sorry, young lord. You had a bid, so you cannot bid for another 3 slaves. Give other a fair chance. That's the name of our game, the man said. Naruto felt terrible, but he returned to his seat and lowered his head. That Naruto wasn't entirely sure of it, but helping people was his character. If he could help the world, he would. Naruto would have liked to get rid of these thoughts, but he couldn't. A large part of him would have just spammed his clones and ransacked everything in front of him while feeling the slaves, but there were daimyo here. If this somehow traced back to him in Konoha, would the village be in trouble? Naruto didn't want that. Most of all, he wouldn't be able to face the disappointment on his sensei's face. Men, women, and children passed Naruto by each time. Fortunately, the man stopped talking to him. Naruto had his ones, so he didn't need to make a bet anymore. Though he truly wished he wasn't in this position, but he supposed he had only himself to blame. His curiosity had gotten him into this situation, and he was paying for it now. Why couldn't he have been smarter? Naruto sighed as he folded his arms. By the time he looked up, they were on the very last one. Thank Kami. Now I can get out of here and never come back here again, Naruto thought to himself. Have we all had a wonderful time tonight? I know I have. I see a lot of happy and angry faces in the crowd today, but I think I have something that will wipe it all away. Now for our main attraction. A girl hated by society. Shunned away from her village for her heinous crimes. Kidnapped in the night to bring into the heel of her masters. A local kunoichi from our very own neighboring village, Takigakure. I present you our main attraction, he shouted. Naruto blinked as he looked down to see girl his age. Her green hair shined in the light. Her orange eyes stared fearfully, yet angrily, at everyone. Her dark skin was like skin Naruto hadn't seen before. He could see the many lacerations on her skin as well. She had been struck a lot. Just like he did when he was younger. He sympathized with her. Plus, they were close to Taki. He could return her right now. Ah, but you wonder what makes this little tot so amazing that she is our main attraction. Well, have you ever heard tales of the Bijou? Powerful monsters of destruction so strong that not even legions upon legions of shinobi could successfully take them down. So strong that one nation would pay half its economy to have one. Well, our little tot happens to hold one of them. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you are bidding for your very own Jinchuriki, the man called out. Naruto's mind froze. He didn't understand the term Jinchuriki, but everything else he heard. She had a bijou. She was just like him. Naruto swallowed the lump in his throat. If he could help no one else, then he would help her. We start the bid at 3 million, the man said. Naruto widened his eyes. 3 million ryo was for a Jinchuriki? Naruto shivered, but he couldn't even catch his breath as nearly everyone raised their hands. 4 million. 5 million. 9 million. 10 million. Any more bids? The bidder asked as Naruto turned to his attendant. Fine, you wanted Naruto to bid so much? Naruto would make sure that none of you ever raised your damn hands again. Naruto grabbed the man's arm and stared into his eyes. The man was almost surprised when Naruto growled into his ear. The man gasped. He stared into Naruto's eyes. He nodded. He turned to the bidder and raised his hand. The bidder shivered. 330 million for the Jinchuriki to the young lord, the man said as people gawked. Some glared hard at him, but Naruto glared back even harder, practically daring them all to challenge his bid. The Taki girl looked at him for a moment before she looked back down at the ground. SS sold to the young lord for 30 million. The bidder said the sound of its state come hammering down. The guards took the girl away as people began to file away. Naruto stood to his feet and walked for the door. His clones and his attendant followed him. Impressive bids, young lord, but before you acquire your new assets you have to pay for them first. Please fill out this form as we walk towards the payment stand, he said. Naruto just nodded, sick to his stomach of the night. He was physically, mentally, and spiritually exhausted. Do slaves ever go free? Naruto felt the urge to ask. The man laughed. Well, I know there are masters who will keep their slaves until the exact moment that slave dies. Other kind masters allow their slaves to work a while, and then let them leave. However, that's for normal slave auctions, young lord. That doesn't happen here. When you bought your slaves, you bought every single legal right that they own. They are yours now until you or they die, he said. Naruto blinked. He didn't want to hear that. What if I don't want slaves forever? What if I don't want them anymore? What if I just want them to leave me alone? Naruto asked rather angrily. The man noticed. It was necessarily hard to find out the young lord's ultimate intentions. Well, then you have merely just wasted 31 million ryo on 2 slaves who cannot leave your side. I would make a peace with that now, the man said. Naruto stopped walking. His intentions had been utterly destroyed. Naruto looked down at the ground, but he soon followed on. This was going to be tough to explain. Naruto and his attendant came to the payment area. Naruto, having filled out the form, gave it to the man behind the desk. He then pulled out the wads of ryo, yen, and coins needed to Naruto growled pay for his slaves. Naruto gave the money and the man had the gall to smile pleasantly. Good doing business with you, young lord. Now if you don't mind heading to one more place we will get you acquainted with your seal, he said. Naruto didn't even have the time to ask before he was dragged away. Hey, put me down. What are you drawing on me? Naruto asked as he kicked his feet in a chair. Please calm yourself, young lord. This is merely your master seal, that is all. Your assets are getting theirs as well. No, they cannot be a village's perimeter away from you. If they are, then the seal will activate, and electricity will surge into their brains, killing them instantly. It will also activate in brief periods if they attempt to cause you harm. You may activate it yourself if you prefer to truly force your will. A lot of masters do this. Nothing too much. Just keeps the slaves in line, the attendant said as Naruto shivered. That's what they meant when they said that they couldn't get away. Oh no, what am I going to do? Sakura-chan, Sasuke, and Kakashi-sensei are going to kill me. Naruto thought, and just as he finished that thought he saw the seal had been finished, and the chakra applied. The light from the seal faded as Naruto was unstrapped from his chair. Well now, then here are your papers. Your slaves are at the back of the house. Follow the hallway down the right and you will find them. Have fun, young lord, the attendant said with a wave as Naruto swallowed as he and his clones walked off. Naruto felt like he had hit rock bottom. He bought people. He gambled with people's lives. He participated in slave trading. He was a master now of slaves. Naruto felt one of his clones touch his shoulder. It's done, boss. Should we dispel? The female mercenary asked. Naruto nodded, confident that no one was following him now. The two popped away in smoke as Naruto made it to the end of the hall. It couldn't have come long enough. Naruto stared forward and saw chained collars around the kunoichi from Taki and the kunoichi from IWA. The chains were held by a tall man. He looked down at the still disguised Naruto. Your slaves, young lord. Present yourselves to him, the man said, and Naruto, with all his inner will, resist the urge to kill the man where he stood when he kicked both forward. Both kunoichi bowed. We live to serve you, lord. Do with us as you see fit, both said. Naruto took a haggard breath to calm his nerves. It was even higher when the man nudged his arms. Goodbye, young lord. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, he said as he handed the chains to Naruto before opening the door for the blonde fake lord to leave. Naruto shivered as he took a step. The chains rattled much like the rattling of thoughts in his head as Naruto made it back into the outside. The sounds of footsteps behind him made him all the more aware that this was real. Naruto stopped walking, as did his slaves. He looked at the ground. I'm no lord, Naruto said. The Taki kunoichi and IWA kunoichi looked at him before both saw a poof of smoke as Naruto changed back into his orange jumpsuit. Both could see him actually trembling. I was just a stupid idiot who got curious and followed a bunch of idiot rich people. Everyone I saw, I wanted to save, but I couldn't. In my head I thought, if I buy them, immediately give them their paper rights and let them go, then I might have made some good out of this situation. Databeo. Gomen. Gomen, Naruto said as his shoulders trembled. His hair shadowed his eyes as his tears fell down. Neither slave spoke, unsure of what to tell their apparent master. Slaves did not speak unless given permission to. You guys can speak if you want to, Naruto said. That seemed like an order, so the IWA kunoichi shifted her chains. We could have gotten worse, master. For good or worse, we are your property now. I would suggest that you live with this, just as we will live knowing this as well. Our lives are now yours, master, the IWA Nin said before she backed away. Naruto sniffled. Can I know your names? Naruto asked. They didn't understand why he asked, but the IWA Nin gave a hard grunt of her throat before opening it. Suzumabachi master, she said before offering a bow. Naruto nodded before turning to the green-haired girl his age. She couldn't meet his eyes, but her voice was a whisper. Fusu and master, she said, and Naruto just nodded before attempting to give both his best smile. Naruto Uzumaki. Pleased to meet you guys, Naruto said before taking out a kunai from his pouch. Suzumabachi and Fu widened their eyes at the weapon as Naruto approached them. Suzum shivered as Fu took a step back. Naruto quickly took note of their responses. I want those damn chains off the both of you. They make me sick, you know, Naruto said as he slashed at the chain, breaking it from Suzumabachi's legs and arms before following to Fu's legs and arms. Naruto gave a nod before turning away. Come on, I'll buy you some clothes. You guys must be cold, Naruto said. As if to answer him, a breeze made its way through the area, making Fu and Suzumabachi shiver in their rags. Naruto sighed before he beckoned them to follow him. What a night it turned out to be. Naruto ignored the look sent his way. He was used to it, but maybe hate and disgust went hand in hand. Naruto released a sigh before they appeared in front of a clothing store. Go inside and ask the lady to help you. Pick out clothes that you like or that you think you will need. I'll just wait out here, Naruto said. Suzumabachi and Fu nodded before they bowed and went into the store. Naruto sat on a bench. He didn't need the people to tell him. The Konoha genin was ashamed of himself. For once in his life, he was utterly lost on what to do. Naruto had his head in his hands. He had a headache. How was he going to explain all of this? Oh hey guys, I screwed up and bought to slave Kunoichi and I have no way of setting them free. Hee I'm a klutz, aren't I? Naruto acted before he groaned. He was so damn doomed. How would his Gigi take this? Or even his friends? Could Naruto even support 2 extra people in his apartment? Well, since Naruto stole that money he had about, Naruto quickly checked his wallet, another 40 million to do with what he pleased. Man, this guy was fucking loaded. Well, Naruto would put it to better use. Another 15 minutes passed as Naruto noticed Suzumabachi and Fu walk out of the store. Naruto quickly paid the cashier for all the clothes. You both look nice? Naruto attempted to compliment. Neither seemed to respond negatively or positively. Naruto just shook his head and had them both follow him. It was late, and he was tired. He would sort this all out tomorrow. Given that he wasn't running through the trees, it took an additional 30 minutes for him to make it back to Takigakure. So many lights were out. He sighed before turning back to Suzumabachi and Fu. He turned to Fu specifically. I bought you because they said you were from Taki. I thought it would have been a cakewalk to release you back here. Hey, guess I screwed up, Naruto said with a very strange chuckle. Fu's eyes hardened. I have nothing to say to anyone from Takisu and Master, Fu muttered out. Naruto turned and could see the hatred in her eyes and the contempt for Taki. Obviously Taki was probably the reason she was in this situation in the first place. He didn't like hearing them call him master and he could order them to stop, but that wouldn't change the situation or their dynamic. Oh. Sorry, I thought it was a good idea, Naruto replied. Fu shook her green hair. It is not Master's fault, Fu said. Naruto just thanked her before he led them into the hotel. It was a rather uneventful walk. He did send a harsh glare to the receptionist of the hotel who had given Fu a hard look. This is where my team and I stay. I've been gone a long time. I just want us all to rest tonight, and we'll get this mess sorted out tomorrow. That sound good? Naruto asked. Fu and Suzumabachi merely bowed. If that is your will, Master, Suzumabachi said. Naruto gave a groan. That was going to really take some getting used to. He used his hotel key and opened the door. Years of shinobi experience helped Suzumabachi as block the incoming fist that was headed for her master's face. She caught the fist much to Naruto's surprise. Naruto Baka, do you have any idea what time it is? Sakura asked slowly as she noticed Suzumabachi holding her fist and keeping it from connecting with her master's face. Sakura withered as she withdrew her fist. I'm sorry about that. Did this idiot do something he wasn't supposed to again? Sakura asked. Suzumabachi internally sighed. She really didn't know if Naruto was telling the truth about all of this, but the way he cried in the forest, there was a sincerity that Suzumabachi knew couldn't have been there with anyone else. She didn't know what prompted her to protect him. She would have inwardly laughed at his pain, but she had felt something in the pit of her stomach. None of this was her master's fault. If what he said was true, then they had all just been dealt a fucked up hand by fate. Master, she wishes to do you harm. How should I proceed? Suzumabachi asked. Naruto grimaced at the stupefied look on Sakura's face as she looked at Naruto. Master? Sakura screeched, prompting Sasuke to slam open his door. He gave a hard glare to Sakura before turning to see Naruto surrounded by females. I don't want to know or care, dope. It's late. Kakashi will most likely pick us up tomorrow. Explain this then. Now Sakura, shut up so I can sleep, Sasuke said before he closed the door harshly. Sakura deflated. Great, she had made Sasuke-kun angry. Naruto sighed as he scratched his scalp. He then gently touched Suzumabachi's shoulder. It's okay, Suzumabachi-san. She's right. I was gone too long. We got into a fight, which is how this whole thing started, Dadabayo. You can get your stuff settled, Naruto said. Suzumabachi gave Sakura a glare before releasing herself. She gave a small bow. Sakura dropped to the ground in confusion. Master, would you like to run your bath, Su? Fu asked. Naruto looked at the ground before he thought to himself. Nah, it's alright, Fu-san. You both can use it if you want to, but you both must be tired. I'll lay out your futons and then we'll all go to bed, Naruto said. Suzumabachi wanted to argue that they would roll them out for him, but she saw Naruto just shake his head. His eyes pleading with her to just let him do it. She relented before she guided Fu into the shower. Naruto walked past Sakura to grab the futons. Naruto, what happened? Sakura asked. Naruto didn't answer her as he grabbed the futons. Just go to bed, Sakura-chan. I'm still mad at you. I'll try to explain it all tomorrow, Naruto said. Whatever protest Sakura tried to make had died in her throat. She had never heard her usually energetic teammate so exhausted, tired, and defeated. Sakura dared not push him. Everyone knew that when Naruto was quiet, it was the ultra-bright sign to just leave him alone. Even Sakura could see it. She merely closed her mouth and walked away. Naruto laid out the futons and sighed. He turned and noticed Suzumabachi and Fu exit the bath. It's going to be a long day tomorrow. For all of us. Let's get some rest, Naruto said. Both nodded and slipped into their futons as Naruto turned out the light. He got into his futon as well. He turned over in his sleep a lot. Kakashi hadn't meant to be late. The meeting had taken longer than he had anticipated. He had hurried back to his team as fast as he could. Now that he was here, he could tell that something was up. Never mind the 2 additions of female members to the team, but also the fact that Sasuke and Sakura seemed to be looking at the usually more energetic member of the group with something akin to sheer disbelief written on their faces. The fact that Naruto looked like he had just been pulled through a ringer, stretched and then pulled through a ringer again didn't inspire the best of happiness out of their Jonin-sensei. Kakashi sighed. He knelt before Naruto. He didn't miss the shame that appeared in Naruto's eyes. Now wasn't the time to be strict, but to be understanding just like his own sensei. Care to explain this all to me, Naruto? Kakashi asked in an understanding voice. Right now, Naruto looked like he really needed to let this out. Kakashi would allow him to do so. Sakura and Sasuke turned to Naruto. Naruto looked back at Suzumabachi and Fu for a moment. He then nodded. Naruto regaled Kakashi with the story of his fight with Sakura, which Kakashi sent a light glare to Sakura, which told her that they would be having a talk later as well. Naruto then told him how he wanted space from the team for perhaps an hour or so, which had him spending time in the next town over. He then told Kakashi about walking through the forests feeling hungry. That was when he noticed rich people walking towards the house. Naruto assumed it had to be some kind of fancy restaurant, so he transformed to look like a young lord to get into the place. Naruto might have skimmed some details on the exact hows of doing it. He then told of his experiences as someone mistook him for the young lord of a very rich family, giving him their member ring. He told about his experiences at the slave auction and his thoughts while he was there. Upon discovering that he was a part of a slave auction, he tried to leave, but they said that he couldn't without purchasing at least one from the auction. Naruto figured he would buy the Iwa Kunoichi and then pay for her freedom rights, then let her leave. He thought it was a good choice. This honestly made Kakashi wonder why he was seeing 2 slaves then. Naruto paused for a breath for a moment before continuing. He then said he hadn't planned on buying anyone else, but he had to stay until the end, so he did. Kakashi-sensei, can I have your ear for a second? Naruto asked. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. He turned to the green-haired girl. Obviously there was something about her Naruto wasn't willing to share with his teammate and Kakashi. Kakashi watched Naruto turn to Fu. Fu, this is my sensei, Kakashi Hatake. He won't judge you and he'll try to help Dadabayo. Can I tell him? Naruto asked. Fu knew what her master was talking about. Her damned status. Dear Kami, she would have liked to say no, but she couldn't bring her mouth to. She merely bowed. Master may do as he pleases, Su. I cannot stop you from doing as you desire, she said. Naruto didn't like her response, but it was the best he would get. He nodded and turned back to Kakashi. Kakashi turned his ear and Naruto whispered about the slave auction's information on Fu not only being from Taki, but also being the holder of a bijou. Kakashi widened his visible eye and his entire brain nearly shut down from those words. He had heard rumors that Taki had a Jinchuriki, the Nanabi, if he remembered correctly. That was odd. If a Jinchuriki's status was anything to go by, then sure, they weren't well liked, but they were their nation's weapons. No one would want to get rid of one so easily. Kakashi widened his eye. Unless the village didn't have a leader or the leader didn't know about it, Kakashi said to himself. For the Jinchuriki of the Nanabi to be sold in a slave auction. Kakashi could see now why there was 2 slaves. It made sense. Naruto had a rather unusual tendency to try to help others. Of course he would try to help her. It's because Naruto sympathized with her. Kakashi would have to make his analysis of that latter. He wanted Naruto to finish. So Naruto did. He then told how he managed to outbid the other competitors to purchase Fu. It would have been about 1,000 to 3,000 ryo to pay for Fu and Suzumabachi's freedom, but then they gave him a seal which essentially made him their master until his very death. Naruto took them home and bought them clothes before telling the story to Sakura and Sasuke. When Naruto was finished with his story, Kakashi was absolutely floored. Slavery, while common in the elemental nations, was frowned upon by many a people. Now Kakashi wasn't going to make his village a hypocrite and say that there weren't any slaves in the village, but the slave-master ratio in Konoha was very much below average in comparison to the other nations. Kakashi was sure some of the clans had slaves of their own, but just wouldn't say such a thing out loud and to the public. Kakashi sighed. He didn't know whether to scold Naruto for leaving his team or praise him for being able to go undercover into a slave auction and fool everyone there and making it out unscathed. That didn't happen to a lot of shinobi. It did concern him that an Iwa Kunoichi and Taki Kunoichi had to be his slaves. Generally, enemy shinobi weren't allowed into the village, and even if they were, then the only sight they were seeing was the TNI department. Naruto was their official master. He could have it that they not go to the TNI department. Slaves didn't answer to the Hokage, but to Naruto. But one of these was a Jinchuriki of all things. That was an interesting story, Naruto, Kakashi said. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura looked at him. Kakashi-sensei, you believe him? Sakura asked. Truth be told, Kakashi didn't want to believe him, but Uzumaki Naruto was a horrible liar, or so he thought, cause he got into the auction somehow. Well, he showed us the seal and the 2 over there continually call him their master. I think this story has some truth to it, Kakashi said. Sakura and Sasuke turned to Naruto to see the blonde giving a somewhat small smile. Kakashi turned a light glare to Naruto. Naruto, while I understand you were upset at Sakura's words, unneeded as they were, you were still in the wrong as well. What if you had been discovered? At worst you would have been taken as a slave as well, and Sasuke and Sakura would know nothing about it. You would be in a lot more danger. As a shinobi, I have to say I'm pleased at your stealth skills, but as your teacher you must learn to control your emotions better. But what's done is done now, Kakashi said. Naruto hung his head down, but nodded. So how does he free them? I mean, do we really trust Naruto in his apartment? With 2 women? Sakura asked. Sasuke snorted. He really didn't care about that. Suzumabachi turned to see that Fu couldn't stop the light blush to her cheeks as she found the dirt on the ground very interesting. Kakashi had to give a giggle. Well, not like we can stop him, but not matter how it is, I'm sure those slave papers are legally binding, even for those like Fu-san. Taki no longer has a claim on her anymore. The only person who does is you, Naruto, Kakashi said. Naruto swallowed the lump in his throat. But I don't want to be anyone's master. I just wanted to free them, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded. He understood that very well, but he sighed. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, Naruto. The only consolation I think I can give you, or perhaps your ladies, is that you might make a better master than anything they would have most likely have been given if you weren't there. That's all you can do for them at this point. At least until we can get Jiraiya-sama to look at that seal, Kakashi said, keeping a part of it to himself. Should we tell Shibuki about it? He's the leader of Taki now, Naruto said. Kakashi sighed. He was debating that too. As far as slaves go, they had no obligation to tell Shibuki or Taki about Fu being owned by Naruto, allies or not. Yet, Kakashi probably figured that Naruto thought Fu would want to say something. What do you think, Fu? Naruto asked, turning back to his green-haired slave. Fu looked up upon being called. No one missed her look of hatred. She respectfully spoke regardless. If Master believes I should say something to Taki, then I will, Su. However, Master, when you asked me last night how I felt, I still feel the same. I have nothing to say to Taki, Fu said. Sakura and Sasuke could hear the ice in her tone, as could Kakashi. Betrayal from one's village could do that to a person. Naruto just nodded a little sadly. I see, Naruto said. Fu merely nodded, but she couldn't stop herself from speaking more. Master, if I am allowed, I would like to retrieve one thing from my house. It is the only thing that holds any value to me in Taki any more older than master, of course, Fu said. Kakashi narrowed his eye. It was probably unlikely that she would run away. Runaway slaves were treated very harshly, but given how Naruto explained to Kakashi that the seal should work, then that wasn't the case. Naruto wasn't thinking about such things. Sure, Fu, we'll wait by the village gates. Grab what you need and then we'll all leave, Naruto said. For once, the green-haired Jinchuriki allowed a small smile to come to her face before she thanked her blonde, same-age master before she quickly moved back to her house. Kakashi-sensei, are we really allowing this? Are we allowing him to keep slaves of all things? This isn't right, Sakura argued. Kakashi turned to her. Whether it's right or not isn't the issue, Sakura. It's legal. Naruto's done nothing wrong as by the laws of society. You, Sasuke, or even I could acquire slaves if we so desired. It's not a perfect world, otherwise we would have need for 6 to 12 years olds to learn how to kill, Kakashi answered her. Sakura slumped. Truthfully, Sasuke didn't see the problem. His clan had slaves when he was growing up. Or was the term indentured servants? Was there a difference between slaves and servants? Sasuke wasn't sure, but he wouldn't lie that he hadn't thought about getting a slave or two like his father and his clan had. But his mother was a very touchy subject on the matter. She loathed it to the core. Master, I will go collect your things and the rest of our things. Are there any other things I should make note of? Suzumabachi asked. Naruto quickly turned to her, a little miffed. No. Thank you, Suzumabachi-san, Naruto said. The former IWA Nin nodded before she went back into the hotel to get Naruto's things. Naruto just watched her leave. Kakashi-sensei, what am I going to do? I don't know how to be a master or take care of others. I never wanted this. I just wanted, Naruto shivered, but a hand on his shoulder from Kakashi stopped him. Just take it one day at a time, Naruto. That's all you can do. We'll explain it to the Hokage when we go home. That's the only advice I can give you, Kakashi said. Naruto just took another breath and nodded. He was glad his sensei wasn't too hard on him. It hadn't taken long for Suzumabachi to return with her things, Fu's things, and Naruto's things. It was an uneasy walk to the village gates, but they made it, and only had to wait another 5 minutes for Fu to arrive carrying an orange cylinder cloth on her back. Thank you for allowing me to bring this, master. It's all I have left, Fu said. Naruto merely nodded and offered her a good smile. So this was his life now. This wasn't what I had in mind, Suzumabachi-san, Fu-san, but if we're really stuck together then I'll try to be the best master in the world. You have my word on it, Databayo, Naruto remarked. Fu and Suzumabachi didn't know how to feel about that, but it seemed that as far as masters went they probably had it as good as they could have gotten. For her own, Suzumabachi sighed. She really wanted to go back to IWA. Konoha was Iwa's enemy. She was going right into that village, with the same status as an animal with no rights. She didn't like it at all, and she hated her team for assigning her to that mission which landed her in this position in the first place. We are forever in your care, master, Suzumabachi said. Naruto just nodded while Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke watched the interaction. Kakashi noticed the looks on his genin before he pulled out his orange book. Life is full of interesting things, my cute little genin. This is just a big step in Naruto's life. Now then, let's return back to Konoha with a mission success, Kakashi said. Sakura and Sasuke nodded, and so did Naruto. Seeing that everything was packed, Team 7 left Taki Gates with a couple new additions. Kakashi wasn't going to lie. The addition of Naruto's 2 purchased assets was going to change his team's dynamic. It wasn't even that their purpose or function was different, but given that Naruto told Kakashi about the limits that both girls could be a distance from him, then Kakashi knew that Team 7 was going to have to get accustomed to Naruto having his slaves in nearly every single mission. It essentially hinged on their lives as well. Kakashi wasn't looking to test out the limits of the seal as well, at least not without Konoha's residential seal master for confirmation. Kakashi grimaced at himself. Even saying the word slave left a bad taste in his mouth. This wasn't even like an Ika Ika where there was that one part with main protagonist, Ichika, and his love interest, Huki, having a master-slave role-play fetish. That was a good story. Yet this was real life and Kakashi definitely found it unappealing. He couldn't imagine Naruto's mindset. Sasuke looked like he didn't care, but obviously Sakura did. Even with the scene in front of them, Kakashi could see that certain actions were angering the female of the team, but she would have to learn to curb it. As much as Kakashi was against it as well, legal issues were just that, legal. In the eyes of the law, Naruto wasn't in the wrong. Though perhaps on morals themselves Kakashi could see Naruto's uneasiness in accommodating both. I will go to the pond and refill your bottle, master, Sasuke, Sakura, And Kakashi heard Suzumabachi say as she picked up Naruto's empty bottle. Naruto quickly turned to her. Why you don't have to do that, Databao? I can do. Naruto didn't get to finish as the former IWA Kunoichi bowed and walked away. Naruto nearly deflated. Kakashi sighed. It looked like Naruto would have rough time settling into his new, unwanted role as a master from his actions 3 days ago. Kakashi turned an eye and noticed Sakura suffocating her chopsticks in her hand as she struggled to eat her food. Sasuke didn't seem to have a problem as he seemed content to ignore his blonde teammates' interactions. Even when he doesn't want to be, Naruto is still unpredictable, Kakashi thought. He had never encountered this situation before. Oh sure, he had deal with my clients that had slaves and even worked for some of them on mission orders. Kakashi had seen many slaves mistreated by their masters and he was still ashamed to say he never did anything about it. How could he? Once Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were finished eating, everyone watched as the Taki Kunoichi, Fu, collected Naruto's dishes. I will wash these for you quickly, Master, Fu said as she picked up the dirty plates before moving to the pond that Suzumabachi had been going to. Naruto wasn't able to make a protest in time before Fu vanished into the trees. Naruto glanced down at the grass. It hadn't taken a minute longer for Suzumabachi to return with a full bottle of water. Your water, Master, Suzumabachi said. Kakashi wasn't sure, but Naruto seemed like a shell of his former self as he grabbed the water bottle almost unconsciously. He couldn't even meet Suzumabachi's eyes. Thanks, Suzumabachi-san, Naruto said. Suzumabachi gave him a bow before she knelt back to her place. Fu had returned after her with Naruto's clean dishes. She quickly packed them away and took her place next to Suzumabachi, behind Naruto, ready for another order. Kakashi just watched as Naruto almost robotically put his water bottle to his mouth. Kakashi closed his visible eye. Words at a time like this wouldn't help. Kakashi knew that at this time words help only empty meaning and empty hope. Naruto wanted to come to terms with things on his own. If he needed Kakashi then as his teacher, Kakashi would lend his ear and his advice as best he could. Still perhaps, Kakashi could at least give Naruto's mind a short reprieve. He clapped his hands, bringing in everyone's attention. Alright everyone, it will be one more day before we reach Konoha. We've had a successful mission and after we report everything to Hokage-sama then I'm sure we'll all be given a couple of days off. Do what you want, but I want you all prepared because by next week we will be having more practice and a couple more D-rank missions to slow down the pace. I want you all to do your best, Kakashi said. He got nods from Sasuke and Sakura. He got a hesitant nod from Naruto. And Naruto, Kakashi said, making Naruto straighten up a little bit. Life isn't fair and we can't control it, but we can control how we respond to it. While your situation won't change, it will only be truly bad if you make it that way, Kakashi said. Naruto blinked, but gave a nod that he understood. Kakashi wasn't sure how much of that he understood, but it was all Kakashi could give at the moment. So everyone picked up their things with Naruto more or less telling Fu and Suzumabachi that unless he would do what he could and if he needed their help then he would let them know. Both former Kunoichi nodded. That wasn't to say that Naruto didn't appreciate their help, but being an orphan you learn to not really rely on other people. Though Naruto could see Fu and Suzumabachi's mindset a little. Some of the things they did for him were out of fear that he would activate the Master Seal for them not doing something. Naruto didn't want it that way, so to help with that, he decided to have both girls do things in his sight for correction. This seemed to help both not only deal with the pressure, but also not have a fear of doing things that they shouldn't have. Over the day, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura watched as Naruto tried to at least make the situation better by telling Suzumabachi and Fu about Konoha and some of his more pleasant experiences in Konoha and what he hoped they would experience as well. Granted, for Suzumabachi, this was rather a mixed reaction being from IWA. It wasn't even like she hated Konoha, but they were her former village's enemy and by that former extension, her own. She could see her master's joy in talking about his village. It was the same with anyone who would like for their village to be in a good light. Suzumabachi would be living there, so it was nice to know what she would be getting into. She couldn't really gauge Fu's reaction to Naruto's words, but from the little she had observed of her fellow servant she seemed a little more relaxed than when they were in Taki. The shine in Fu's eyes at Naruto's words wasn't lost on Suzumabachi either. And they have the best ramen in the world. I'll treat you both to some when we get there. I think you'll like it, Naruto said. Suzumabachi and Fu nodded, both couldn't deny that they held some interesting in seeing Konoha. From his place, Kakashi smiled lightly. It looked like Naruto would be just fine. That day went by rather quickly in Naruto's eyes. He wouldn't lie. He was dreadfully nervous. He didn't know how his Jiji would take this news and he hoped that he wouldn't be too angry with him. If there was one thing Naruto never liked seeing, it was disappointment in other people's faces on him. That emotion usually hurt a lot more than any words could. Naruto wouldn't lie. He still didn't like having slaves and he doubted he ever would, but Kakashi was right. Naruto couldn't run from this situation, and his moping around wouldn't change it either. He had promised Fu and Suzumabachi that he would be the best master he could, and he meant that. That wasn't to say he wasn't prone to lapse back into his half-conscious, half-unconscious state, but he seemed to be better with it. At least from the past 3 days he was dealing with it prior to leaving Takigakure. Your village is really amazing, master. It's much bigger than Takisu, Fu said. Naruto grinned at her compliments of his village, even though technically it would of course be bigger than Taki since Konoha was one of the 5 great shinobi nations. Still, a compliment was a compliment. You got that right, Databeo, Naruto said. Suzumabachi glanced down at Konoha. For the longest time, she had been taught about how the 4th Hokage had won the 3rd great shinobi war through his famous/infamous technique, the Hiraishin Jutsu. Suzumabachi had never seen Konoha until this day except in some of Iwa's textbooks and some random pictures. It definitely deserved to be called the village hidden in the leaves. Trees, and more trees surrounded the place for miles. From a distance Suzumabachi could appreciate the natural landscape that surrounded Konoha. It is nice, Suzumabachi commented offhandedly. The air was a lot cleaner than in Iwa. Being so naturally high in the mountains and the earth, the air was thicker. Perhaps not as thick as Kumogakure's air, but it was certainly close enough. Suzumabachi could appreciate good air when she felt it. Well, we hope you'll come to like it here. I do wish it was under better circumstances, Kakashi opted to say. Suzumabachi and Fu released their breaths, remembering their situation. It would have been nice to forget that for just a moment. Naruto sent a light glare to Kakashi in response. The Jonin rubbed the back of his head and apologized. Slight slip of the tongue. Well, shall we get a move on? Kakashi asked. Naruto took a calming breath and nodded. Sakura and Sasuke nodded as well. So with that, everyone entered the village of Konoha. Fu and Suzumabachi took their last calming breaths. The female Jinchuriki looked up at the massive doors to Konoha. This was her home now until either she or her master died. The Nanabai Jinchuriki closed her eyes before she and Suzumabachi moved through the gates. Fu and Suzumabachi watched as Team 7 flashed their identification to the gate guards. They then proceeded to walk with Team 7 through the village. Fu had to admit. She was really surprised by how normal everything looked. Not like she had a true opinion on Konoha in the first place, but it looked like her own village only a few times bigger. She and Suzumabachi saw many people walking the streets, talking and laughing, much oblivious to the true cruelty in the world that Fu had just experienced. Kids laughing and playing in the streets. No one could have known that Konoha's master-slave ratio had just gone up by 2%. Team 7 had walked into the Hokage mansion. They then proceeded up the long flight of stairs before finally coming to the door that separated the group of 6 from the most powerful shinobi in Konoha, and if Suzumabachi was honest, she would say that she was a little excited to meet who many professed to be the god of shinobi. One that even that old bastard Inoki had to give respect to. Master, are you okay? Fu asked, alerting everyone to see Naruto breathing rather heavily. He strained a laugh. Why yeah, just nervous, Databeo. That's all, Naruto said. Kakashi gave him a pat on the shoulder, encouraging the blonde Jinchuriki as best he could. Sasuke and Sakura didn't speak, but at least Sasuke could understand why Naruto was nervous. Sasuke didn't know the Hokage's views on slavery or whatever was going on here with Naruto, so it stood to reason that Naruto wouldn't want to make the Hokage angry. Just hurry up and tell him, Naruto. Maybe he'll do something about the seal. He might even be able to free those two, Sakura made the vain attempt to encourage him. Obviously Naruto, Sasuke, and Kakashi knew where Sakura stood on this issue. However, Kakashi couldn't help but sigh. Why didn't Sakura get it? Not even the authority of the Hokage could break this much legality. Perhaps Kakashi had to truly sit down with Sakura and discuss the issue, because obviously there was something here that the Kunoichi wasn't understanding. Setting that aside, Kakashi knocked on the door. Naruto's spirit nearly dropped dead when he heard the words, "Come in," from the other side of the door. Kakashi grabbed a hold of the doorknob and opened the door. Everyone quickly stepped inside. We're entering Hokage-sama, Kakashi said as Team 7, Fu, and Suzumabachi stood before the Sandaime Hokage. Suzumabachi's first analysis? The man was old. Hella old. He looked about as old as Inoki did. Suzumabachi wouldn't voice it for a small fear of the revenge from her master, but she couldn't understand how this was the man that Iwa had so much trouble with when the Yondaime had died. Yet, there was a reason he was behind that seat, and while Suzumabachi couldn't accurately see it, there was also a reason why he was feared and his presence commanded respect. Forgive Suzumabachi if she wasn't intent on finding out just how strong he was. Fu's reaction? If he was a grandfather, then Fu would have easily thought that this guy had more than enough experience to share with many a great shinobi people. Team 7 reporting Hokage-sama. Mission success, Kakashi reported. The Sandaime Hokage cracked his neck as he pushed a set of paperwork to the side. He withdrew the pipe he had been smoking and a stream of smoke escaped his lips. So I see. Well done, Team 7. Though I can't help but wonder why there are 2 more than I assigned to the team. Care to explain? He asked. Kakashi rubbed the back of his head and gave an eye smile. About that, Hokage-sama, it happened when I was returning from the emergency Jonin meeting we had about a week ago. I think it would be better if Naruto explained it himself, Kakashi said. The Sandaime turned his eyes to Naruto and immediately sighed. Truth be told, the Sandaime had always had a soft spot for the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. It wasn't even because of outside factors, but it was because after so long, Naruto had just grown on him. His dream to become the Hokage had instantly had the Sandaime connecting with the young blonde on the views of the village as a whole, the will of fire, and what it truly meant to be the Hokage. The Hokage remembered the many times that he treated Naruto to ramen just to spend some quality time with him. He truly considered Naruto his grandson, despite his annoyances sometimes. And it was for that reason that the Hokage's eyes softened when Naruto took a step forward with about as much energy as a Nara and the regret of a Jonin. Hey Gigi, Naruto said. Hiruzen Sarutobi turned a glance to Kakashi, who only nodded silently, saying that only Naruto could explain it. Hiruzen turned back to Naruto and smiled. Good afternoon, Naruto-kun. Not a single mission can just end normally with you, can it? Hiruzen asked good-naturedly. Naruto managed to edge out a laugh of his own, though Hiruzen could tell that it was relatively strained. The Sandaime cleared his throat. Well, Naruto-kun, are you going to introduce me to these 2 lovely young ladies? Hiruzen asked. Naruto immediately nodded. He motioned for Fu and Suzumabachi to approach, which they did. Hi, Gigi, this is Fu-san and Suzumabachi-san, Naruto introduced. Both girls bowed to the leader of the village, which the Hokage gave a nod to them as well, welcoming them to Konoha. However, Hiruzen could see the look of shame in Naruto's eyes as the blonde tried to find his voice. They are my slaves, Naruto croaked out rather tiredly as he held his head down. The room was interestingly silent. Kakashi did feel bad for Naruto, but it would have been a lot better for Sarutobi and for Naruto if Naruto had been the one to say it. Sasuke couldn't help but groan. What was with him and always getting into these situations where he didn't want to be? Okay, sure, fine, he couldn't really blame some of them on Naruto, but this was getting out of hand. Sasuke was tired. He wanted to go home. Not stand around because everyone was too scared out of their ass to talk. Naruto didn't hear any reprimand and looked up to see the Hokage staring at him. It was a look that Naruto couldn't properly identify, and he was sure he couldn't understand what was going through the Sandaime's head. It must have been an eternity, because everyone felt the need to breathe when Hiruzen closed his eyes, crossed his fingers, and took one more lasting breath of his pipe. Explain, Naruto-kun. If you fear that I will think less of you, then don't. Do not be afraid to talk to me. Answer me honestly. How did this happen? Hiruzen asked in a solid yet gentle tone. Naruto swallowed his self-doubt. Fu and Suzumabachi watched as Naruto came to make his story of what happened. Honestly, though they hated the predicament, they felt a tad bad for their new master. Naruto continued with his explanation. He told Hiruzen the same things that he told Kakashi. The fight with Sakura, the need to get away from his team, the sneak into the slave auction, the thoughts he had upon finding out he was in a slave auction, the thoughts he had when purchasing Suzumabachi and Fu, and the ruined thoughts he had about setting them both free. When he was done, Hiruzen could tell that he had done something most thought impossible to Naruto Uzumaki. He had mentally drained the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I see, Sarutobi said as he began to process his thoughts. Naruto having that level of stealth was certainly unheard of, though given the blonde's natural capacity for pranks then it wasn't that impossible, but to have the subtle tendencies to be able to weave through even as closed an event as a slave auction marveled the god of shinobi. Well, Hokage-sama? You can remove it, right? The seal from Naruto's hand allowing them to go free? Sakura asked. She shivered when she noticed Hiruzen give her a rather intense look. Before we go into things about Naruto-kun, Sakura-san, I would like your thoughts on why you seem so adamant that Naruto-kun cannot take the Hokage position, Sarutobi said, an amount of steel in his voice. Sakura withered underneath his glare, but she was going to be as honest as she could. WWL Hokage-sama, he had the worst grades in the academy, he's the dead last of our generation, and I don't think he would take it seriously enough, Sakura replied. Sarutobi sighed. He could understand some of that. Naruto truly didn't inspire the best confidence out of people sometimes with his antics. Hiruzen could understand that. And just what, in your opinion, makes a Hokage? Hiruzen asked. Sakura shivered at the sudden pressure in the room before holding her head down. I don't know, she answered as best she could. The Sandaime closed his eyes and took a breath from his pipe. Here in Konoha we do not call the dreams of others impossible. We encourage them to the best of our ability, and we help make sure that those dreams succeed. To put down another's dream is to deny the existence of your own. I will let you off this once. If I hear any more of this, especially out of what the Academy called a model kunoichi, then I will make sure to have a very long productive chat with you. Understood? The Hokage asked. Sakura quickly stiffened up. She really didn't want to have that happen. Hi Hokage-sama, Sakura proclaimed. Feeling that he had made his point, Hiruzen turned back to Naruto, who was a rather difficult case. What he didn't know was that it was going to be even more difficult as Naruto spoke. Also Gigi, I have to tell you it's about Fusan Databayo, Naruto remarked. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. He nodded, but he blinked when Naruto moved to his side and leaned into his ear. Obviously it was something he didn't want Sakura or Sasuke knowing. Naruto whispered into Hiruzen's ear, and if the situation wasn't what it was, then Kakashi would have laughed when he, and everyone else, saw the pipe fall out of Sarutobi's mouth and into his desk. Naruto moved back to his place as Hiruzen took a look at the group, more specifically Fu. To actually bring in the Jinchuriki of Taki, a slave no less. I don't know if this is Naruto's luck or the world moving in a strange direction. I never thought Taki's hatred of their Jinchuriki would be so bearing that it would prompt selling her into slavery. How can I handle this? Hiruzen asked. Truth be told, he couldn't handle it. A Jinchuriki was a powerful military asset to any village, and to have even one was an excellent case. Yet this green-haired girl was a slave. Hiruzen was going to admit it. His clan had slaves once upon a time. Not their proudest moment of life, but it had happened. Hiruzen was well versed in slave laws. Sure, there were humanitarian societies that looked down on slave masters or tried to help slaves, but runaway slaves were not pleasant to deal with. Most were either killed or others given an extremely unfair punishment, but it was at the discretion of the master, so nothing could stop them. It was the law after all. How sometimes Hiruzen hated that word. Legality isn't always right. She was a Jinchuriki enslaved to another Jinchuriki. Hiruzen was sure that just by her Jinchuriki status it warranted the council, but it was easy for the god of shinobi to see if he did bring it to the council, then they would ask where she came from. Hiruzen wasn't confident in the council's wants of a Jinchuriki having a Jinchuriki for a slave, but it was legal. Nothing in the law said that Naruto couldn't have another Jinchuriki for a slave. Yet one of the problems Hiruzen was figuring was that Naruto having Fu as a slave was a waste in a way. Slaves in general had no rights. Granted, if a master was kind, then they said you have the right to do this, or that, but that was more like a pseudo-right as the master was more or less allowing it to happen. Plus slaves only had one master. There could never truly be two. Even in the case of families where there was a master and a mistress, the master's word still held prevalence over the mistress' word. What Hiruzen was trying to get at here was that slaves could not be shinobi. Shinobi answered to the Hokage and the power of Hai no Kuni. A slave did not do this. They answered to their slave master. That was essentially a Jinchuriki and Bija in the village without having the might to do anything with it. Granted, Hiruzen would never have wanted to young woman to become a weapon anyway, but the fact that her powers couldn't directly be used in the force for Konoha was a little worrying. But that wasn't the problem. Well, okay, yes it was, but it wasn't the most major one. By law, Naruto was allowed to have slaves. Not even Konoha could prohibit the selling and buying on slavery if the daimyo didn't agree to it as well. It was a very complicated political issue, on that Hiruzen didn't like. Currently none of the nations had a ban on slavery and slave trade. And why would they? 'Cause it was wrong? They had child soldiers ready to kill for their nation in raw blood and death. Something like the rights of other humans wasn't a very high on the list. Possibly the worst thing that Hiruzen knew about the slave business? A very, very sad thing. It was also a very simple. It was merely profitable. That was it. Nothing more. Nothing less. The slavery trade made money, lots of it. No one would be so eager as to get rid of that much income even if they had to fucking sully their damn hands and take away the naturally given human rights of other people. If Sarutobi felt like he had anything on Naruto, it was that Naruto didn't want to be a master. He didn't want slaves. He didn't want to know this type of world existed. Though if Naruto was the Hokage he would have learned about it eventually. He just happened to learn about it much earlier. Naruto had just been at the wrong place at the right time. There was another problem. These were kunoichi from an ally and an enemy nation. It was like Kakashi said before. Their team didn't have an obligation to Taki, treaty allies or not, that Fu was Naruto's slave. Something in the young girl's eyes told Sarutobi that she didn't want even have a single thing to do with Taki either. Hiruzen could understand. It's easy to betray, but it's hard to trust. Hiruzen couldn't really do anything to this Iwa kunoichi either. He could, as the leader of Konoha, order Naruto to let Konoha interrogate her, but that would have been a direct conflict of interests as Naruto's new rights as a slave master would come into question. It was actually in a handbook of laws. Article 5, Section 3-09b. If a slave master is a shinobi, mercenary, or any military asset pertaining to a village, leader, or council, the slave master holds the right to all of his property to be used or unused by all pertaining members. Essentially, what this meant was that even if Hiruzen ordered Naruto to let them interrogate the Iwa Kunoichi, she was still a slave, and Naruto, as a slave master, held the right to refuse that order, since the Iwa Kunoichi was his property, without fear of retribution from the village or the council. Plus, Hiruzen knew that given Naruto's strong, yet soft heart, he wouldn't subject those girls to interrogation after they had been through that much. Hiruzen would have called it a true bind, but honestly there was no bind. Hiruzen was trapped in a political loop where he could truly do nothing. Naruto-kun, show me the seal on your hand, Hiruzen said. Naruto quickly nodded and showed the Hokage the seal on his right hand. Hiruzen gazed at it. So this is the master seal. There must be something to this, or it wouldn't take so much effort to remove. I might have to bring Jiraiya back earlier than I anticipated, especially if another Jinchuriki is involved, Hiruzen thought to himself before he nodded and allowed Naruto to return back to his post. A most interesting tale, Naruto-kun. However, I agree with Kakashi's assessment. No matter how infuriating those words from your teammate were, a Hokage must always act rationally and think about the best course of action. That said, I do commend your stealth skills. Not even mini Jonin can get away with a slave auction, Hiruzen said. Naruto wasn't sure he wanted that kind of praise, but it was praise nonetheless. So can you remove the seal? Sakura asked, almost hopefully. Hiruzen noted her sudden concern before denying her with a shake of his head. Seals are dangerous when tampered with. I would rather we didn't for now. Though I regret to say that even if we did, that still wouldn't alleviate these ladies and their slave status with Naruto as their master. It would help that they wouldn't have to fear for their lives and the distance of the village, but no. Legally, Konoha can do nothing to either help or condemn them. That all lies with Naruto-kun, Hiruzen said. The Sandaime noted Naruto's look and sighed. I know it will be tough, Naruto-kun, but just imagine what would have happened if you hadn't been there. It might have been a blessing in disguise that you bought them both. No one may see it now, but I'm sure you will do right by yourself and by them, Hiruzen encouraged. Naruto gave a nod and his best for his mood, smile. Thanks, Gigi, I'll do my best, Naruto said. Hiruzen nodded. Sakura deflated at the news before giving Naruto a light glare that Hiruzen and Kakashi didn't miss. It seemed that someone was much against the issue even more than everyone else in the party was. Hiruzen sighed. If that is all, then Team 7, you are dismissed for a job well done. Kakashi, I will expect the report by tomorrow. No later. You may have the rest of the week off. Dismissed, he said. Team 7 saluted their Hokage before they filed out of the room. Naruto-kun, be strong, my boy. You will need to be. For you are not the only one who suffers here, Hiruzen said before moving back to his work. Damn paperwork. Exiting the Hokage mansion, Team 7 made it into the streets. Alright, my cute little genin, you heard Hokage-sama, we have the rest of the week off. Use your time wisely, cause we will pick up the pace for missions in the middle of the week. Well, I'm off. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, Kakashi said with a wave before vanishing in smoke via the Shunshin technique. With their sensei gone, this left Sasuke, Sakura and Naruto alone. Sasuke-kun, would you like to do anything on our days off? Sakura asked. Sasuke hardly looked interested in her question as he was looking off in the direction of his apartment. Do what you want. I'm going home, Sasuke said as he stuffed his hands in his pockets and walked off. Sakura deflated and Naruto resisted the urge to help her. It wasn't like him to stay mad at someone, but given Sakura for the past few days and her words back in the Hokage mansion, forgive him if he wasn't too keen on being around her for a while. Naruto only shook his head before turning around. He faced Fu and Suzumabachi. Master looked at servants. Nothing was going to change this situation. But Naruto could at least make them feel welcome, even if it was a somewhat unwilling welcome. Well, I guess we can start by me showing you my place database. Then I guess we'll go on from there, Naruto responded. Fu and Suzumabachi nodded. Yes, master, they said. Naruto decided to take the word in stride, and he hoped with time he would be able to not find the word so isolating. So Naruto, Fu, and Suzumabachi left Sakura to her own devices and entered the village. During their walk to Naruto's apartment, Naruto pointed out some more stores that they could go to or good places that they could eat. Now that Naruto thought about it, he would have to give them some money, or at least some type of daily or monthly allowance to spend on what they wanted. Some type of regulated stipend would probably work. Naruto opted to carry his own things, much to his surprise, Fu and Suzumabachi's distaste. It wasn't like Naruto was trying to go against giving them things to do, but he had never had anyone to help him with things. He had always done it on his own. To just suddenly have help was a change he needed to adjust to. He was sure it was the same for Fu and Suzumabachi. Naruto was sure that adjusting to slave life was never easy. Soon the three came up to Naruto's apartment. Alright, my house on the 3rd floor at the very end of the walkway. I'll make sure to get you both keys so you can get in. Sorry if it's too small, Databayo. It's meant only for one person, but I think we can make it work. I have about 3 closets, so I'll move my stuff from 2 of those and allow you both to use them if you want. I guess I have to make some kind of schedule for you both to work, don't I? Naruto asked a rather rhetorical question. Fu and Suzumabachi blinked as Naruto slumped his shoulders. He then guided them up the stairs and to his apartment door. He quickly opened the door, allowing both to enter. It's surprisingly clean, Suzumabachi thought to herself. Granted, she had never been in a young man's room before, but she had always assumed a guy's room was messy just out of perspective. Master, would you like us to put your things up? Fu asked. Naruto turned back to her. At least let me show you where everything is first, then we'll get to that, Naruto said. The grand tour wasn't as spectacular as anyone could have expected. It was just an apartment after all. Naruto showed them his bedroom, the place where he had his garden that he watered his plants. He showed them the closets, bathroom, how the shower worked, how his stove and oven worked, where the TV was, and anything else they would be knowing. Once he was finished with their introduction into his apartment, Fu spoke. Master, you must be tired, Su. I think it would be best if we prepared your bath and food before moving on to getting everything else, Fu said. Naruto resisted the urge to sigh. He had been doing that too much since his mission had been close to ending. Why you don't fine. Thanks, Fu-san, Naruto said, just deciding to go with this new relationship for a change. It was just a bath, Naruto figured. Fu nodded and dropped her things before running back to the shower that Naruto showed her. I will prepare something to drink for you, master, as you get everything settled, Suzumabachi said. Naruto opened his mouth, but then closed it. He just nodded. Naruto rubbed his scalp. Kami, this was really going to take some getting used to. So as Suzumabachi and Fu worked, Naruto did as well. As he removed his clothes from 2 of his closets and sealed them away into a scroll before placing them in his own first closet, allowing Fu and Suzumabachi to use the other 2. He had just been finished with that when Fu returned. I warmed the shower, master. You can enter if you wish, Su, Fu remarked. Naruto offered a smile. He supposed the shower would do him some good, though how it was done, Naruto could have done without it. Thanks, Fu-san. Can you tell Suzumabachi-san that you both can set up your clothes in the closets and free drawers? Naruto asked. Fu nodded with a bow and went to go fetch Suzumabachi while Naruto got himself situated in his shower. The hot water was especially pleasing to his tired and aching muscles. For some reason, a shower was also good for his mental state, as he found his mind becoming a lot clearer than before. Naruto never knew how great showers could possibly have been at times like these. It was a rather wonderful sensation. Naruto didn't spend too long in the shower before he wrapped a towel around his waist. He stepped out of the shower and opened his door. Master, Suzumabachi-san had me bring you a drink. Naruto and Fu stared at each other as Fu held a cup of tea in her hands. Naruto widened his eyes, a sudden fear rising in his eyes. Please don't have strength like Sakura. Please don't have a temper like Sakura. Please don't kill him. Fu's face brightened as she stared at her master, water dripping from his hair and his body. Fu's first urge was to scream, but was this supposed to be ordinary? They were 2 females and 1 male living on a very small apartment until arrangements could be made. Fu somehow managed to find her voice. I'm sorry for interrupting, Master. Here is your tea, Su. Fu said, holding out the cup to Naruto. Naruto looked at the offering and took a breath. Tea, thanks, Fu-san. I'll quickly get changed, and you both must be tired as well. You can use the bath now that I'm done, Naruto said before Fu just nodded with a bow and stiffly walked away. Naruto watched her go before he moved to his room and sat on his bed. That was a little scary. He touched his chest. Damn heart, stop beating so fast. Having finished his tea, which Naruto had to admit it was some damn good tea, he quickly got dressed in some more casual clothing. He reappeared in the living room. Following his walk, he had heard the shower running, so it was obvious that either Fu or Suzumabachi were inside. Naruto had wisely kept moving. When he reached the living room, Naruto noticed Suzumabachi still hanging up some of her clothes. Suzumabachi-san, what was in that tea you made? That was awesome, Databeo. Naruto complimented. Suzumabachi looked over her shoulder and smiled. That was odd, none of her former teammates liked the tea she made. They always had some kind of idiotic sarcasm for how her tea tasted. Thank you for your words, master. That was a mixture of some special leaf juice I found in your refrigerator and made it with some pepper spice and molded bee honey, Suzumabachi said. Naruto merely smiled before a thought came into his head. Bee honey? I don't remember having bee honey in my refrigerator, Naruto said. Suzumabachi turned around. She held out her finger and Naruto noticed a bee land to her finger. I made it, master. It was one of my special abilities when I was a shinobi. I could control insects, Suzumabachi said. Naruto widened his eyes. You can control insects? Wait, are you related to the Aburame clan? I have a friend, Shino, who can control bugs too, Databeo, Naruto said. He noticed Suzumabachi's smile diminish slightly before she allowed the bee to fly into one of her pouches. I do have abilities similar to the Aburame clan, master, but there are no Aburame in IWA that I know of. They are actually my clan's rivals for insects. I was a member of the Kamizura clan. We have been at odds ever since the founding of our clan. We had a conflict with the Aburame clan that disgraced our clan. We've been trying to regain our honor. I guess I should say they now, since I'm not a member. More than likely I have already been outcast due to my failure in my mission. No clan wants a member who's a slave, Suzumabachi said rather sadly. Naruto held his head down. I'm sorry. I thought what I had was a good idea, but it turns out that I was just being stupid. If I had my way you would have been back there right now, instead of here, Naruto said, but Suzumabachi shook her head. It is done, master. Anything I do is by your will now, Suzumabachi said. Naruto didn't know how to respond to that statement, but luckily he didn't have to as Fu came out with a fresh set of clothes. She glanced to Naruto for but a moment and Suzumabachi was certain that Fu's cheeks were a tad redder than they were before, but she didn't think on it as Fu spoke. The shower is yours, Suzumabachi-san, Fu said. Suzumabachi nodded and quickly took it over. Until Suzumabachi exited the shower, it would be a very long and awkward silence for Naruto and Fu, with Naruto taking up his time writing down something in a pad and Fu putting her own clothes in a closet. Both couldn't have been more thankful than when Suzumabachi appeared about half an hour later. The three quickly gathered around the table in the kitchen. Alright, I wouldn't necessarily call these orders, but I would like to call them regulations. They are rules that I follow when I live here and I would like the both of you to do the same. I don't really know what a slave does typically, but I guess I separated it into 3 categories. We're partners and this is our home now, Databeo. We're going to make sure it's neat, Naruto said. Fu and Suzumabachi nodded. Naruto cleared his throat. For the first 2 weeks, Suzumabachi-san will handle the cooking and Fu-san will handle the cleaning. I guess if it's fine with you then you can switch every 2 weeks. I will handle providing all of the supplies needed as well as washing the clothes and drying them, Databeo. We train for at least 2 hours every day before dinner. I didn't have anyone to control my bedtime so I don't see a need to control yours. Go to sleep when you want, but I generally go to sleep at about 10 or 11. No loud noise after that point, can't disturb my asshole neighbors. Anyone say different? Naruto asked. Fu and Suzumabachi looked at the sheet. They didn't argue. If that is what you wish, master, Suzumabachi said. Naruto nodded. Master, are you sure you want to do the washing? I mean, not to speak back, but will you be comfortable with washing our clothes? Fu asked. Naruto's eyebrow nearly twitched as he realized the implications of what Fu was saying. Naruto rapidly pushed down any thoughts he might have had. Just stay away thoughts. Just stay away. Naruto looked up and noticed Fu and Suzumabachi looking at him, waiting for his answer. And then no problem. Uzumaki Naruto doesn't back down from a challenge, Databeo, Naruto said. As their master, Fu and Suzumabachi couldn't really argue Naruto on his desires. They didn't have the right to do so, but given Naruto's attitude towards them they hoped he was as true to his word as he said he was. Once that was settled, Naruto gathered them all together once again. He quickly held up his wallet. For most of the money I got from that guy back in the woods I will give you both a portion over the months. A stipend if you want to call it that. You can do whatever you want with it. Just try not to spend it all. I will provide the major things, this is for you for your own enjoyment. 11,000 ryo to each of you, Naruto said, handing each girl a wad of the money that he had. And master, we aren't, Fu wanted to say, but Naruto stopped her almost immediately. I will do what I can to treat you both right, Databeo. I can't give you back your rights, but I can try to help you be happy with what you have. Just consider it like this, I, Uzumaki Naruto, order you girls to use this money as you want, Naruto said. Fu and Suzumabachi were sure that orders weren't supposed to go that way, but it was an order nonetheless. Both took the money and pocketed it away. So what now, master? Suzumabachi asked. Naruto grinned. Now we go get you both some beds. At the most those won't be delivered until tomorrow or the day after. After all, I need to buy some equipment. I'll let you both pick what you want. I don't care if you can or can't become shinobi, I'm going to make sure you two can defend yourselves. Well, I guess you are kunoichi, aren't you? You probably can, but my point still stands. Naruto exclaimed. Suzumabachi and Fu couldn't stop the smiles that came to their faces. Both nodded and quickly followed Naruto out of the door of the apartment and into the streets. If Naruto were honest, he was sure that Fu and Suzumabachi weren't putting much thought into their beds as he might have thought they would. He couldn't place his finger on it, but both had just gotten beds similar to his own. Naruto had those paid for easily enough, with the manager stating that they would be delivering along with the supports for them in about 3 days, which meant an extra day than what Naruto had originally thought. Naruto also got them some bedsheets that they wanted. They quickly left the store and made their way over to the shinobi supply shop. So you're both kunoichi. What ranks were you guys? Naruto asked. The green and brown-haired girls turned to him in relative surprise. I was still a genin master, Suzumabachi said. Naruto gave her a small look before turning to Fu. The Nanabai Jinchuriki scratched her cheek. Genin as well, Master Su. Though I was mostly kept isolated from some of my teammates, Fu said. Naruto nearly let out a snarl, but managed to rein it before it made itself known. He didn't like bringing up bad things. So you guys must know some cool jutsu, right? Naruto asked. Suzumabachi and Fu chuckled, despite themselves and their situation. Nearly everyone their age would have loved to learn more jutsu. Nothing too awesome, Su. My knowledge of jutsu is rather limited, but one of my sensei always praised my strength, Su. I have a limited ability to control some dragonflies and smaller insects. Not the best of abilities, Su, Fu replied. Naruto and Suzumabachi widened their eyes as Fu explained their abilities. Suzumabachi had never imagined that her fellow slave was also capable of incorporating bugs into her skill set. Whoa, any chance you guys could teach me to do that? Naruto asked. The walk was a little silent for a moment before Suzumabachi cleared her throat. I would say no, master, merely on the fact that I was a clan member and members of a clan aren't able to teach people outside of their clan their techniques. But I suppose I'm not a part of the Kamizuru clan anymore. Not many people enjoy bugs, master. Plus, forgive me for saying, but you do not seem like the type of person who would find this style of combat effective. I can't say because I have never seen you fight. I would better know if I had something to base it off of, Suzumabachi said. She was surprised her master didn't get depressed immediately. Naruto could understand that. It was essentially the same with the clans in Konoha. Well, we'll be meeting with Kakashi-sensei in the middle of next week. I'm sure he'll have us sparring a bit. I guess you can take a look then, Naruto said. Suzumabachi agreed. Naruto turned and noticed Fu scratching her cheek. Forgive me, master, but my abilities are more tied to my bijou than merely just Misu. I have it on instinct, not practice. It's not something I can teach, Fu said. Naruto just placed a hand on her shoulder. Nah, don't worry about it. I get it, Naruto said positively as the group continued walking. Finally, the master and his servants made it to one of the weapon shops. Naruto opened the door. Welcome to Higurashi Weapons. Can I help you? A feminine voice asked. Naruto looked up in surprise. He was sure he had heard the voice before. He was also sure he had seen this girl before. He thought he would have been hella sure that he remembered a girl with twin buns for hair, but for his life it wasn't coming to him. He just smiled and shook his head. We're only getting the essentials for now. We have small space, so we gotta make it count, Databeo. We'll sort through it, Naruto remarked. The girl blinked before she nodded. She shrugged her shoulders and returned back to the book that she was reading. Suzumabachi and Fu quickly moved through the shop. Suzumabachi picked up some kunai, tags, ink, and some other clothes. She doubted she would ever wear anything shinobi-related again, but it was nice to have. Opposite of her, Fu had picked up some shuriken and some leg weights as well as the standard academy pack that anyone below genin could buy. Is this enough, master? Fu asked. The girl behind the counter widened her eyes as she looked up from her book. She noticed Fu holding a pack of saban in her hands. She watched Naruto look them over. Yeah, those will do, I guess. We can store them back in the house. I personally think saban are boring, but if you like them then go for it, Naruto said. The Nanabai Jinchuriki quickly agreed. The girl behind the counter frowned as she looked at Naruto. Either these guys were heavily into roleplay or there was something entirely wrong with this situation. Master, how many sets do you believe we will need? Naruto heard Suzumabachi call from her side of the store. It's on you, Suzumabachi-san. You probably know the amount better than I do, Naruto called back. The girl placed her book down and leaned her elbows on the table. Master, Is there a hidden meaning behind that I should know about? The girl asked, making Naruto stiffen. He turned back to see her eyes nearly piercing into his skull like a pair of kunai. Naruto didn't know how many people were experienced in this whole master-slave thing, but from this girl's tone, she didn't look amused by the situation. Though to be honest, it wasn't any of her business. At least it wasn't as far as Naruto was thinking it should be. It pained him, But he might actually have to pick up a damn book and read on the master's rights and the laws regarding slavery and slave labor, as much as he hated it. Don't get him wrong, it had only been a couple of days for him since the whole thing. He wasn't used to this stuff yet, but he was doing it in his own Naruto-ish way. Why are you asking? Naruto asked. The girl shrugged her shoulders. Color me curious, I guess. Not the most traditional friendship I've ever seen. Just intrigued, she said. Naruto had learned to read people growing up, or at least he felt confident in himself to be able to read civilians and genin-level shinobi. This girl was studying him, inspecting him even. Do I know you? Naruto asked. The girl gave a small grin. Dunno. Judging by your age, you graduated from the academy 2 or 3 months ago. We probably had some classes. Name's Tenten Higurashi if the name of the store didn't give it away, she said. Naruto looked at her. He did remember having studies with a weapon fanatic by that name, but she must have only been in passing. Oh, Naruto said. Tenten and Naruto stared at each other for a little bit of time before Tenten turned to see Fu and Suzumabachi talking. Never seen them before in this village, she said before glancing at Naruto. The blonde frowned and folded his arms. Yeah, that's because they aren't from Konoha. They just arrived today with my team, Naruto said. He noticed Tenten's eyes harden. Oh, I thought they were in the village cause I figured only close friends would joke around like that. However, you have to admit, it's a really poor joke, she said. Naruto glared at her. Suzumabachi-san, Fu-san, you can put everything back. We're leaving, Naruto called out. Fu and Suzumabachi looked up in surprise, but they noticed Naruto and the girl at the counter staring at each other rather harshly. Why do they have to leave with you? I'm sure you can leave on your own, Tenten replied. Fu and Suzumabachi could feel something happening between these two. They could see it in their master's eyes that he was a little cross between difficult places. Fu and Suzumabachi quickly placed the things they had back before they started on their way to their master. None of that will be necessary. The tension broke as everyone heard a gruff voice speak from behind the counter door. Tu-san. I thought the furnace had to be cleaned, Tenten said as she noticed her father smirk. Well, it's been cleaned. Now then, Tenten, what have I told you about harassing the customers? The man asked. Tenten wilted at his words. She sighed angrily before giving a last look to Naruto. She then walked behind the door and shoved it out of her way. The man sighed before he turned to Naruto, Suzumabachi, and Fu. Name's Daichi Higurashi, kid. You'll have to forgive my daughter. She's a little headstrong for her own good, the man named Daichi said. Naruto glanced at him for a moment before he shook his head. Naruto didn't want any trouble. He just wanted to get them what they needed and then leave. He glanced at Fu and Suzumabachi, awaiting his orders. Naruto nodded for them to proceed. Both former kunoichi retrieved their supplies and placed them on the counter. Daichi rang up the price and Naruto paid for it. Naruto quickly gave him a bow as Fu and Suzumabachi grabbed their things and left out the door. Daichi watched them go. Now, to have a talk with a certain girl about professionalism. Meanwhile, it didn't take long for Naruto, Fu, and Suzumabachi to return home. Fu and Suzumabachi quickly set the bags on the table while Naruto sat in a chair. That confrontation back at that weapons shop had worn him out a great deal. He really hated it when others had to press an issue he didn't want to have pressed. He knew Tenten had a high suspicion of him as a slave master, but in hindsight it wasn't like he tried to hide it at all. Perhaps that was something that needed changing in the very near future. Naruto didn't want Fu or Suzumabachi to be put under scrutiny from his village, at least not when he tried hard to actually put Konoha in a good light like any shinobi would. Master, would you like me to get dinner started? Suzumabachi asked. Naruto turned to her for a moment before he grinned. He was starting to get hungry. Yeah? That sounds great, Databeo. Naruto responded. Suzumabachi nodded before she moved to the kitchen area and took out some of Naruto's pots and pans. I'll go put our supplies up, master, Fu said, taking the bag off the table. Naruto just allowed her to do so. He removed himself from the main room and appeared back in the bedroom. He quickly changed his clothes one more time. He had just finished changing when he heard the door knock. Master, Suzumabachi-san said that dinner will be ready 1 hour soon, Fu called from behind the door. Naruto was actually glad another encounter wasn't made, but obviously Fu and Naruto had learned to be a little bit more careful about what happened hours ago in the morning. Gotcha. I'll be out soon, Naruto called. He heard the retreating footsteps from the door. He then opened it and walked through his apartment. He came back into the main room. He watched Suzumabachi pour some salt into the pot before adding about 2 eggs, showing that she was indeed making something. He then turned and noticed Fu mopping the floor. Naruto wasn't entirely sure what to do or say, so he just settled for taking some time to water his plants in his spare time. An hour later, Naruto sat down at the table. Your meal, master, Suzumabachi said, placing the bowl and a couple of plates in front of him. Thanks, but where is your food? Naruto asked. Fu and Suzumabachi glanced at each other. We eat after Master Su, Fu said. Both Suzumabachi and Fu stiffened when Naruto held his head down. He hadn't touched his food. Actually, both could see his available hand ball into a fist. Suzumabachi, Fu, Naruto called. Both girls, either instinctually or knowingly, stiffened as they noticed the absence of the sand from their names. Naruto was not happy right now. He truly hated this goddamn system right now. Why yes, master? Suzumabachi asked for both herself and for Fu. Naruto pointed to the dishes. Pick up your plates, get some food, and sit down and eat with me. I don't care how other masters treat whoever else, but you two are going to eat with me. All of us. Together. Naruto stated fiercely. Suzumabachi and Fu gazed into his eyes before both walked over to the counter, picked up their plates, got their food, and then sat at the table with Naruto. Itadakimasu. Naruto said grace and ate his food. Suzumabachi and Fu looked at their master before they looked down at their food. An order was an order. Both ate their food. Suzumabachi-san, this is good, Fu said despite the situation. The former IWA nin gave a small grin. Yeah, this is awesome, Naruto complimented. Thank you, Fu-san. I'm glad you're enjoying it, master, Suzumabachi replied. The trio ate their food relatively peacefully. Suzumabachi was actually happy she made enough for fourth, seeing how her master ate when they were traveling back to the village. Naruto had eaten her food with extreme gusto. Suzumabachi couldn't help but shake her head. A very odd master she had. But even in this situation that she, Fu, and Naruto found themselves in, the Iwa Kunoichi felt a small sense of comfort as she watched Naruto's satisfied face. Fu had proceeded to collect the plates and wash the dishes. After which Naruto had essentially demanded they all spend time together, which, while yes, they had done that the whole day, but apparently Naruto didn't think they had enough. So the master and his slaves gathered around the TV in the center of the room and watched programs for a couple of hours as the sun went down. Naruto brushed his teeth, then did Fu, and lastly Suzumabachi as the three got ready for bed. Though, there was a problem. Naruto looked at his bed. Fu and Suzumabachi's beds wouldn't be here for another 3 days. Naruto gave a sharp sigh. He quickly turned around. Even if he was the master of these girls, he couldn't bring it in him to just have them sleep on the floor. He didn't like it either, but he wasn't about to voice the complaint. Well, good night, Naruto said as he made his way out of the door out of his room. Master, it's going to be very cold tonight. Are you sure you will be all right? Suzumabachi asked. She wasn't exactly sure why she was worried. As a kunoichi, she was used to taking advantage of her opponents and their weaknesses, but her master had been very understanding and very tolerable. Maybe that was why. Naruto smiled. Don't you worry about me. I'm tough, Databeo, Naruto said. Suzumabachi and Fu glanced to each other. Both quickly nodded and simultaneously grabbed Naruto's arms. Hey! What are you two doing? Let me go! We don't have to do this. I don't want to do this, Naruto exclaimed as he was dragged back into the room. We are only looking out for your best interests, Master Su, Fu said with a mischievous grin on her face as Suzumabachi turned out the lights to the room. There was a lot of ruffling in the room and a lot of shouting, but finally it was quiet as the moon settled into the sky. You asked Naruto why his life had to end up like this. He figured he had tried to live a life of normalcy, well as normal as an orphan with a mountain-sized monster fox stuck in your could get. In any case, Naruto always figured, yeah okay he wasn't normal, but just how different could he be from everyone else? Well, he was probably sure that not most would be slave masters. He also figured that he wouldn't be sharing a bed with two of said slaves. How? How did it come to this? Why me? Naruto shouted mentally as he looked up at the ceiling as Fu and Suzumabachi slept at his side. He was perfectly fine with a couch. He was damn perfectly fine with a couch. Naruto closed his eyes. He was happy these two could get some sleep because he sure as hell wasn't going to be able to. Naruto shivered as Fu turned over on her side. He sighed. This was going to be a long night. Honestly, Fu didn't know what to think with this choice. It sounded great in her head when she went along with it. Fu had never been around guys that much. She never had that subtlety of doing with the opposite sex. She was a freaking teenager. Plus, it wasn't like anyone in the village went out of their way to teach her these things. Naruto had been a much better master than Fu had thought. Fu's introduction into the world of slavery was rough. People had come for her in the night, blindfolded her, and bound her. She didn't remember how long she had been in darkness. She did know that she had a teacher of sorts. He often told her and other slaves their purpose in life, what they were made to do, and other things. It truly terrified Fu a lot. Being on that stage in front of everyone, humiliated, degraded, it had nearly destroyed Fu. One could imagine her surprise of her master when he revealed himself to be just a genin like herself. Even more so when he told her his intentions in buying them. She felt a measure of security. She felt a swell of gratitude in her body when Naruto claimed he tried to get her back into Taki, but Fu had known. She could smell it in the air, the smell of the material that made up Taki's uniforms. She didn't know who had done it, but she knew it was Taki. Fu had resolved to never go back even if she had to have her freedom restricted. This wasn't an ideal scenario, but it was better than Taki. Fu's opinion of Naruto? A much better draw than she could have hoped for. For all three it was a very uncomfortable situation. We never talk about this to anyone, Databayo, Naruto remarked. Fu swiftly nodded her head as Suzumabachi turned over. Understood, master, both said as all three fell asleep. The 3 days were trying for the master and the slaves, and after 3 nights of utter embarrassment the beds were delivered and Naruto had clones put the frame to the beds. He then had them move Fu and Suzumabachi's beds into his room. It was a definite tight fight, but Naruto was able to move them to the walls, giving everyone their separate beds. Granted, they all slept in the same room, but they were all sure that there couldn't have been any more embarrassment higher than those first 3 nights. Suzumabachi and Fu had learned a lot about Naruto in those 3 nights. Likewise for Naruto. He learned a lot of things he wished he could not have learned. Alright, here you guys go. Your keys, I ordered them 2 days ago. Usually it takes a month, but apparently the landlord has copies of every key, so he gave me what I needed. Don't lose them, Naruto said. Suzumabachi and Fu took their keys. Both nodded quickly. Fu placed hers away and so did Suzumabachi. So what now, master? Fu asked. Naruto scratched his cheek. He didn't have much of anything planned for the rest of the day. He was on break, so there was no need to do any training yet. He crossed his arms and adopted a thinking posture. Well, I guess what the first thing we can do is… Naruto didn't get much farther as a knock came to his door. He turned around, a little surprised. I'll answer it, master, Suzumabachi said as she moved and grabbed the door handle. She slowly opened the door. Naruto widened his eyes. Sasuke? What the hell are you doing here? Naruto asked. Kakashi sent me to get you, loser. We are to all meet at the training grounds as soon as possible. Hurry up and get it in gear, Sasuke said before he dashed off. Naruto watched him go, as did Fu and Suzumabachi. Master? Fu asked, but she noticed Naruto quickly move across the room and into the bedroom. He quickly grabbed his headband, a shinobi pouch, and his orange jacket. Master, what's going on? Fu asked as Naruto zipped up his jacket. Kakashi-sensei's calling us all off our break for some reason. We're going to find out. I want you guys to come with me, Databayo. I don't know how wide that guy who gave me this damn thing said when he meant village length, and I don't want to find out. Besides, the training grounds are outside of the village. I don't want to endanger your lives by doing this. Come on, Naruto said. Suzumabachi and Fu blinked, but quickly began to move as they made their way out of the house. They locked the door and quickly chased after Naruto. Rooftops slowly turned into trees as Naruto and his group made it into Team 7's training ground. Fu and Suzumabachi didn't have much time to look over the place before Naruto jumped the gate. They effortlessly followed him. The 3 could see the forms of Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi waiting for them. Sorry we're late. What's the meeting for? Naruto asked. Why are they here? Sakura asked, pointing to Fu and Suzumabachi. Naruto didn't have to think on that for very long. I don't think I would be a kind master if I let Fu-san and Suzumabachi-san get hurt just because of this seal, Sakura, Naruto remarked. Sakura gazed into Naruto's eyes, but she quickly shook her head and huffed as she looked away. Glad to see you could pull yourself away from your vacation, Naruto-kun, and the Hokage would like to express his apology to all of us for this last-minute mission. I hope you all don't mind sand in your shoes because we're going to Sunagakure on an escort and delivery mission, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Having heard their mission, as unexpected for Naruto as it was, he, Fu, and Suzumabachi had returned to the apartment to pick their clothes for what they figured to be a maximum of a month mission. The 3 had quickly settled into their shared bedroom. I will get your clothes ready, master. Is there anything I should pick out? Suzumabachi asked. Naruto's first instinct was to tell her he would do it himself, but he did remember that he said he would try to make an effort to at least be sensible about this new role of his. Forget about that, Suzumabachi-san. I got that on my own, but we're going to need supplies for the mission, so I guess you can prepare any food or snacks to bring while Fu-san packs up the shinobi tools, Naruto said. Suzumabachi quickly nodded with a bow and moved without question into the kitchen. At the same time, Fu opened one of the closets that her master had dubbed the shinobi closet and pulled out what she assumed they would need on the mission. In general, unless the master permitted it, slaves weren't supposed to have weapons, especially not around said master. The temptation was usually much too great for any slave to not try to attempt an assassination of their master in a vain attempt at freedom. However, Naruto had told Fu and Suzumabachi that they would be allowed to defend themselves, so that was an order, more or less, that they were permitted to have weaponry. With that in mind, Fu quickly settled the backpacks on the bed before she moved on to some other duties, while Naruto placed his clothes into one of his scrolls. He then readied his backpack. He wouldn't lie. He was looking forward to going to another village, even if it did ruin his off time. He did wonder what Sunagekyo was like. Having learned about the 5 great shinobi nation in the academy, Naruto of course knew that Suna had sand. Lots of sand. While Naruto wasn't exactly looking forward to the journey, he figured it was at best not going to be a long stay. Kakashi had told them to be ready to leave by nightfall. He had also told them to pack for a minimum of 3 weeks to a maximum of a month and a half. Naruto was sure that wasn't very hard to do. But 2 hours had passed by before Suzumabachi gently knocked on the door before she opened it. "Master, I have prepared the food. Fu-san is washing the dishes. Is there anything else we need?" Suzumabachi asked as Naruto finished just in time to place his backpack on the floor. Naruto turned his head to face the former Iwa Kunoichi before he allowed his thoughts to wander for a moment. "Well, we already got our equipment from the store a couple of days ago. I guess we should head to bed now. We're going to be traveling at night time, so I think that would be best," Naruto said. Suzumabachi gave a nod in the form of a bow before she closed the door. Naruto watched her go before he picked up a few more things that he figured they would need. Naruto was surprised that after 20 minutes, Fu and Suzumabachi came through the door ready to go to bed. One might ask, how a bundle of energy like Uzumaki Naruto could ever think about sleeping when he felt excited at the prospect of seeing another village. Well, Naruto was sure the village wasn't going anywhere. He also doubted that there was anything more urgent that they needed to do so. With that being said, Naruto didn't have much of a reason to be up. So the Uzumaki residence was quiet as Naruto, Suzumabachi and Fu slept. The sun passed over the sky in its daily routine. The hours passed away as the sun settled on just leaving the horizon. Naruto groaned as he, Suzumabachi, and Fu got up. Everyone quickly got dressed and picked up their bags. "Are you okay, master?" "You're shivering," Fu said. Suzumabachi turned and she as well noticed Naruto's hand had begun to jitter. Naruto just nervously chuckled. "Why yeah, just fine. It's my first time going to one of the 5 great nations. I guess I'm just excited," Naruto said, offering a small smile. Suzumabachi blinked in surprise. His first time to one of the 5 great nations? Back in Iwa, Suzumabachi had a mission to go to Kumo as her 3rd mission going straight of the academy. She wasn't quite sure on her master's record for missions, but to have this be the first one out of the elemental nations, it was a surprise to say the least. Perhaps Konoha and Iwa were more different than Suzumabachi had thought. "Have either of you been to Suna before?" Naruto asked. Fu shook her head. She had been relatively isolated in Tataki. She was lucky to even go to some of the neighboring countries at times. For her own reply, Suzumabachi had shook her head as well. "I haven't been to Sunagekyo before, master, but I have been to other nations when I was a kunoichi of Iwa, Suzumabachi said. The 3 fell into an awkward silence for a brief moment. It must have hurt all 3 of them to learn of the burdens placed on them as they realized the cold reality of being a master and being a slave. "What was it like? Iwa and your team, I mean," Naruto asked as he opened the door. Suzumabachi and Fu walked out with Naruto locking the door. The 3 made it to the staircase as Suzumabachi gave a short chuckle. "Iwa was homely, master. It was surrounded by many mountains. As academy students we were taught the mountain climbing exercise. The mountains were very steep, so you needed good chakra control in order to traverse its many segments. As for my team, well, they were my older and younger brothers. They were idiots, but I always did enjoy working with them even if they got on my last nerves sometimes," Suzumabachi said. Naruto just nodded. He had no idea that Suzumabachi's teammates were also her family members. This news only seemed to make Naruto even angrier about the circumstances. As an orphan he never had a family, and he always wanted one. Naruto couldn't imagine tearing someone else away from their family members. "Oh," Naruto remarked. Suzumabachi noticed her master's look and sighed. Well, he did ask, but Suzumabachi could see that her story had probably affected him as much as it did her. "It's fine, master. If I know those 2, then they are taking care of themselves," Suzumabachi said with a small grin. That grin don't really help Naruto that much, but it did make him feel a little better. However, Naruto highly doubted Suzumabachi was as confident as she sounded. He knew about putting up tough fronts. There was no way Suzumabachi wasn't missing her family. She had been in this master-slave world long enough to be even remotely content in what she was saying, But it wasn't like Naruto wanted to make her uncomfortable, so he didn't speak further on it. What about you, Fu-san? What was Taki like for you? Naruto asked. He could see Fu's glare at the ground. Naruto suddenly widened his eyes as he thought back for a single moment. I have nothing to say to anyone from Takisu and Master, Fu muttered out. Naruto turned and could see the hatred in her eyes and the contempt for Taki. Obviously Taki was probably the reason she was in this situation in the first place. He didn't like hearing them call him Master, and he could order them to stop, but that wouldn't change the situation or their dynamic. Oh. Sorry, I thought it was a good idea, Naruto replied. Fu shook her green hair. It is not Master's fault, Fu said. Naruto just thanked her before he led them into the hotel. If Master believes I should say something to Taki, then I will sue. However, Master, when you asked me last night how I felt, I still feel the same. I have nothing to say to Taki, Fu said. Sakura and Sasuke could hear the ice in her tone, as could Kakashi. Betrayal from one's village could do that to a person. Naruto just nodded a little sadly. I see, Naruto said. Fu merely nodded. In a word, Master, Taki was simply prison Su, Fu said as the three kept walking. Everywhere I walked, I felt like I was walking on eggshells with anyone there. Just the slightest misstep from me and I was sure that something like this would have happened. I guess I didn't walk softly enough. For me, Master, being your slave is better than Taki, Fu said as Naruto stiffened. Having her freedom restricted, her rights taken away, being treated as property, being given to the whims of someone else was better than living in Taki. Naruto couldn't understand it. Oh sure, he was sure that her being like him, then she had a rough life and she knew the hard times. But Naruto couldn't stop himself as he turned around and grabbed Fu's shoulders, surprising her. I will treat you better. I swear I will treat you better than Taki ever did, Databeo. I swear it on my life, Fu. Please don't think of me as your prison, Naruto said. Fu didn't speak as she held her head down. Suzumabachi quietly watched the exchange between master and slave. High Master. I don't think you're that kind of person, Su, Fu remarked. Naruto just settled for a nod of his head as he took his hands from Fu's shoulders. The three continued on their way through the streets. It hadn't taken their group long to make it to the large doors of Konoha, where they noticed Sasuke and Sakura patiently waiting for them. Hey Sakura, Sasuke, any idea what we're supposed to be delivering? Naruto asked. Sasuke craned his neck as he gave a sigh. Well, it's not like Kakashi gave us any other information regarding this mission. You would know that if you probably remembered to pay attention, loser, Sasuke said with his arms folded and his eyes closed. Naruto's eyebrow twitched, and he was sure that he was straining his knuckles, but the blonde had made a silent oath to himself that he would not let Sasuke get under his skin, no matter how infuriating the asshat was at times. Gee, thanks for the info, team, Naruto remarked. Sakura leaned herself up from the wall. Naruto, we're going to be meeting Kakashi-sensei in a couple of minutes. Would it kill you to not antagonize for once? Sakura asked, slightly irritated. Naruto turned to look to Sakura for a moment before a small frown appeared on his face. Naruto gave himself a deep sigh. So, Naruto, Fu and Suzumabachi took their places as the team waited for their sensei, who had the notorious habit for being late. As one could expect, this situation was no different. The hue of the sunset was gone from the horizon as the moon settled. Fu found herself as she kicked a small stone across the dirt. Master, does your sensei always do this? Fu asked. She slightly jumped when Naruto's slightly annoyed look turned to her. Naruto took a moment to observe her posture and eased himself enough to answer her question. He slumped his shoulders. Yeah, and then he always makes up this lame-ass excuse for being late before we leave. Get used to it, cause I have a feeling he gets like this with everyone he meets, Naruto said. Fu merely blinked, but she gave a nod. She turned to Suzumabachi to see the former Iwa Kunoichi giving a hard sigh. You have a very traditional sensei, Master, Suzumabachi said. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and groaned. Was that what they called it? Finally, with anger that could fuel the flames of Hades for all eternity, the young members of Team 7 could see their sensei coming through the darkness. He walked up as nonchalantly as Fu and Suzumabachi remembered him walking when they were back in Taki. He appeared before the group. I'm not late, am I? Kakashi asked with a smile. What sensei is late by 3 hours? You've always been late by 2? Are you trying to break some new record now? Naruto asked. Kakashi's only response was to give another chuckle. He turned and noticed Sasuke and Sakura glaring at him harshly. Ah, the joys of being a jonin to a bunch of brats. Ma, just think of it as learning patience on an important stakeout mission which could take hours or even days. You wouldn't want the enemy hearing you, now would you? Kakashi asked. Naruto would have very much liked to retort against that, but he couldn't since Kakashi could have been right. What was worse was that Naruto was sure that Kakashi was trying to make this point with that damn eye smile of his. That still doesn't change the point that you were late, sensei. Sakura hissed a little quieter since it was night time. Kakashi shrugged his shoulders. Well, punctuality and all that requires that I attend. Well, shall we be going now? He asked. Sasuke leaned himself up from the wall. Hold on. You haven't even told us what we're delivering/escorting. What are you hiding? Sasuke asked with a suspicious gaze. Kakashi stared at Sasuke for a moment before the Jonin sighed. Well, as your commanding officer, it is at my sole judgment to reveal to you the contents of the mission, Sasuke. You should be happy I'm so willing to share. We're delivering a letter to the Council of Suna. Given that this is a C-rank mission, then I think we all know what to expect. So shall we get a move on? Kakashi asked. Team 7 nodded as they left the village with Fu and Suzumabachi in tow. The travel at night wasn't as thrilling as Naruto figured. If anything since his days with Zabuza and Haku, he had been a little wary of the dark. Really, he wished he had a mobile hobby that he could take him with, much like Kakashi's reading of books, but would you really expect Uzumaki Naruto to pick up a book? Not. Oh yeah, Naruto. While we're walking, you might as well catch up on reading these slave laws that the Sandaime gave me, Kakashi said with a smile as he held out a rather large book. Oh irony, you could go suck a dango stick. Naruto grumbled as he took the book from Kakashi. He groaned at its weight. There was no way he was going to be able to read a book that felt like it took all his damn strength to lift with both hands. I know it might seem like a lot, but at least be knowledgeable, Naruto. You can't remain ignorant of these things, especially not with Suna. While the village doesn't have the strictest slaves laws, it still can be a hard place if you are unprepared, Kakashi said. Naruto turned to Kakashi as did Sasuke and Sakura. Fu and Suzumabachi didn't speak. Like what kind of laws? Sakura asked. Kakashi could tell she was a little unsure of wanting to know the answer to her question, and if Kakashi were truthful then he would have found himself hesitating in actually telling her. Well, for one, all slaves in Suna need to be branded with a mark of ownership. Konoha grants a little bit of leeway with this law as does Kirigakure, but Suna is probably second to IWA in keeping this law strict. You might not see it on the visible parts of their bodies, but any slave you happen to see in Suna will be branded with a symbol of their master, Kakashi said. Naruto turned and noticed that while Suzumabachi looked uneasy, Fu was actually shivering in her walk. He gave a hard frown. And what about slaves from other nations? Naruto asked. All sets of eyes turned to him, but Naruto's eyes never left Kakashi's. The Jonin looked at his student for a brief moment before turning an eye to his blonde student's slaves. They were looking at Naruto in only something that could be described as disbelief, and yet there was probably also some measure of comfort in their eyes. Well, slaves by other masters from other nations are a little different. In your case, Naruto, you would be allowed to brand your slaves if you wanted, which I doubt you'll do to your own, but you will be required to pay a fee for them to enter in Sunagakure. Anything they do, anything they break, anyone they say something mean to, accident or not, will fall on you, Naruto. They are your property, thus it's your responsibility to maintain them, Kakashi said. Naruto felt like his throat was a little dry at these words. Kakashi didn't mean to scare his student, but this was the reality of the situation. You have need to worry, master. Fu-san and I will make sure to remain on our best behavior. We will not dishonor the face of our master, Suzumabachi said. Naruto stared at her for a time before he turned to Fu. She offered him a soft smile and a nod. She wouldn't do anything to drag her master's name through the dirt. At least not after the attributed kindness, despite the situation, he had given them. Naruto smiled. He supposed that was good enough. He trusted the two to keep their word. I know you guys won't. I promised that I would treat you both right, Databeo. No one's touching you so long as I've got a say in it, Naruto said with a thump of his chest. Suzumabachi couldn't stop the light chuckle that escaped her lips, but Fu was a bit more expressive as she had her hand over her mouth to stop her chuckles. Kakashi shook his head as he watched the three interact. They looked like they would be just fine. So with that out of the way, Team 7 continued through the darkness and on their way towards the village hidden in the sand. Their footsteps on the dirt path were blown away by the wind of the night air as the day's events ended. Allow me to wash your plates, master, Fu said as Team 7 finished their breakfast by their campfire. Thanks, Fu-san, Naruto said, handing his dishes to the green-haired Jinchuriki. Fu quickly walked to a nearby stream that she had seen the team pass by. Everyone also watched as Suzumabachi furl up Naruto's sleeping bag and seal it back into a scroll before she placed it back into his backpack. She then busied herself with packing hers and Fu's sleeping bags. Naruto had been kind enough to buy them some in a local town that they had passed 3 days ago. It had been a week and a half since their journey to Suna. They were currently somewhere in the land of rivers. At least that was when Sakura had asked where they were, which prompted Kakashi to pull out his map. So far the mission was a little boring, but it wasn't like Suzumabachi was direly hoping for anything to happen. You ask Suzumabachi how she felt at being a slave right now. Well, she hated it. She wouldn't deny it still. Sometimes she did think about just taking a kunai and ending her master's life and the lives of his teammates. She hated sometimes that she had to pretend to be okay with everything, but she knew it wasn't Naruto's fault. Constantly Suzumabachi found herself arguing against the things she thought. It wasn't like she didn't appreciate what Naruto had tried to do, a little naive as it was, but it was a lot more than anyone would have truly tried to do for her. She occasionally had dreams of Naruto's tears when he was offered the chains that bound hers and Fu's body. Sure, Suzumabachi didn't see him in the best light, but okay fine, maybe his words had affected her a little bit. What could she do? None of them asked for this. Suzumabachi? Said girl gasped as she stood to her feet and turned to see Naruto looking at her a little worried. Sorry master, I was thinking. Is something wrong? Suzumabachi asked. Naruto turned his head. She had hoped that he wouldn't think she was slighting him in any way. Nothing wrong, I was just asking if you had all your stuff packed. Kakashi-sensei said that we're moving out in 10 minutes, Naruto said. Suzumabachi looked around the campsite and noticed Sakura and Sasuke packing their own bags along with Kakashi, who was quietly waiting for his genin to finish. Hi, I'll be ready soon, Suzumabachi said. Naruto didn't buy into her speak, but he let it go. Maybe she was nervous about the trip to Suna? He wasn't sure. Pretty soon, Fu returned with Naruto's dishes and he packed those away as the rest of Team 7 got together. Getting a little cozy with your new life, dope? Sasuke asked with a small smirk. Naruto turned a light glare to his teammate. No, Naruto was not enjoying this life at all. Whatever team. I would ask if that was jealousy I was hearing, but this isn't anything to be jealous about. I hate this, Naruto said with a light snarl that surprised even Sasuke. Sakura and Kakashi looked at him for a moment. Didn't look that way to me. Looked like you enjoyed having 2 girls ordered around, Sakura said with a fold of her arms. Naruto's eyebrow twitched before he turned to Sakura. I didn't ask for this, you know. But Fu-san and Suzumabachi-san seemed to be willing to put up with the situation, so how would it look if I was just the one to complain about everything? I swore to them I would treat them right and I'm going to do that. What's your problem anyway, Sakura? You've been on my case ever since this whole thing happened, Naruto claimed. Sakura gawked as she reviewed over Naruto's words. She didn't forget that it was mainly her fault that Naruto was in this situation. She knew she couldn't blame him for it entirely, but they were slaves. Literally people with no rights. No, they weren't even people. They were objects, things. Perhaps Sakura was just worried that what happened to Fu and Suzumabachi would happen to her. Seeing that Sakura wasn't keen on talking, Kakashi cleared his throat. Well, I'm sure it's just taking us all some getting used to. That's all. I wouldn't expect us to be comfortable with this so easily. Now then, shall we get a move on? Kakashi asked. Naruto and Sasuke nodded. Sakura just quietly moved to her things and picked them up. Fu handed Naruto his backpack. He gratefully took it before the team continued on their journey. It had taken another 2 days before the Konoha team finally, and Naruto means finally, saw anything resembling a desert. Naruto wasn't about to lie. He couldn't understand how the hell anyone could live out in this land. It was hotter than hot, there wasn't a place for water for miles, and he was sure there was a giant mushroom in the vast distance of the desert that he could have seen at one point. Naruto wiped the sweat from his brow. Kami, it was hot. Would you like some water, master? Fu asked. Naruto turned and noticed Fu holding out her water bottle to him. Naruto just grinned. Thanks, Fu-san, but I'm alright. Can't be wasting the water we already have, Naruto said. Fu just nodded before she placed her water bottle back in her pouch. Fu wasn't going to lie, just seeing the sweat drop from her master's face continued to tell her that this heat was more than she had anticipated. Oh come now, Naruto, it can't be that bad, Kakashi said, earning a glare, albeit a more subdued one from Fu and Suzumabachi, from everyone when he said that. Sakura felt gross from the sweat that was on her pink blouse. Sasuke took another swig of his water bottle. The cooling drink refreshed his throat for a couple of moments until he forced his lips away from the bottle in order to conserve what he could. See, the reason everyone was glaring at Kakashi was because the man wasn't even sweating. He had even more clothes on than they did. How the hell wasn't he hot? He had a mask over his face, for crying out loud. Noticing his students and their stares, he grinned behind his mask. Well, it's lucky that we came during this time when it's not really windy. Imagine how slow our pace would be if we had a sandstorm, Kakashi said. Everyone shivered at the thought. And just imagine all the dangerous animals under the sand just waiting to devour us whole if we so much as take one unneeded step. We could be walking to our deaths right now, Kakashi said with another grin. Master, can I poison his meal? Suzumabachi asked into Naruto's ear. By Kami, himself, Naruto was really debating Suzumabachi's question, especially when he heard Kakashi giggling to himself. Team 7 continued through their treks through the desert as Kakashi suddenly got a fascination with the many morbid things that could potentially happen to the group on their way to Sunagakure. Truly the limits of Naruto's patience were tested. They were so tested, he thought he was dreaming when he saw a tall wall in the distance. I spy with my little eye the illusion of a wall databale. It's probably like that giant mushroom we passed some time ago, Naruto said with a groan. Fu looked up and blinked. Either Master and I are having the same illusion, or that really is a wall, Fu said. Naruto rubbed his eyes as did Sakura and Sasuke. Suzumabachi smiled. Freakin' finally. Kakashi was the only one who didn't share in the joy. He had lost his amusement for the trip. Oh well, they all had to return to Konoha at some point. As Team 7 came up to Sunagakure, Naruto couldn't help but admire the large stone walls as they got bigger and bigger, no doubt forming a large wall around the village like a protective natural landscape. A part of Naruto was a tad nervous at the idea of heading into Sunagakure, especially after learning what Kakashi had told him about the village, but he would just have to make the best of the situation. He would have to do so not just for himself, but also for Fu and Suzumabachi. He would protect them both. He had sworn it. As Naruto and the rest of Team 7 came up to the entrance of Sunagakure, they were instantly met with two Sunagakure Chunin decked out in their village's colors of light and dark brown vests. Halt! State your business here, the Chunin said in a gruff, hard voice. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura quickly pulled themselves to a stop while Fu and Suzumabachi made their attempts to not be as profound as they probably looked. Kakashi quickly asserted himself and cleared his throat. Team 7 from Konohagakure. Genin Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke under Hatake Kakashi. We are here on a delivery mission to the Council of Suna, Kakashi stated. The two Chunin glanced at each other. The one at the right suddenly turned his eyes and noticed Fu and Suzumabachi of the little group. Fu shrunk beneath the man's gaze. Truth be told, Suzumabachi wasn't feeling expressly confident either. And those two? What is their purpose? The one at the right asked, pointing his gaze to Fu and Suzumabachi. Kakashi followed his gaze and landed on them for just a moment before he turned to Naruto. Naruto took a step forward. They are with me. They're my slaves, Naruto nearly croaked out. Just saying that still felt him with an uncomfortable urge to vomit, but he had to get it over with. The two Chunin blinked for a brief moment before the one to the left held out his hand. Show us your master seal, he said. Naruto quickly obeyed and held up his right hand, which showed the seal. Whether by organization or not, every master seal by slave organization was different. There were those from cheap organizations and others from highly priced organizations. One could imagine both Chunin and their surprise when they looked at Naruto's seal. The Crescent Sun? How could a boy at Genin no less afford slaves from that organization? The Chunin asked himself before he pulled back. Slave papers, he said, holding out his hand. Naruto quickly rummaged through his backpack. Kakashi had heavily advised to Naruto that he always keep those papers on his person wherever he went. They were just as authentic and legal as his seal was. It was a good thing Naruto had taken that to heart. Is it really that big of a deal if he doesn't have the papers? Sakura asked. Kakashi sighed. Unfortunately it is. While his master seal is the real deal, I'm sure that Suna would be a bit stricter on his slaves if he didn't have those papers. Those papers are a good identifier of who is being let into the village and under what pretenses. I imagine the tax for Naruto to have his slaves in Suna would be a lot higher than what he will get now, Kakashi said. Sakura shivered as Sasuke watched the interaction. Fu and Suzumabachi were quiet during the exchange. Naruto quickly produced his papers and showed them to the Chunin. The man looked them over before handing them to his partner. Both looked them over before they nodded and handed the papers back to Naruto. There is a tax for letting foreign slaves in Sunagakure. 10,000 ryo per slave, he said. Naruto widened his eyes as did Sakura. What? That's not fair, Sakura said, but Kakashi quickly stopped her with a hand on her shoulder. This isn't Konoha, Sakura. This is Sunagakure, and it's their laws and their rules. We can only comply, Kakashi said. Sakura simmered down and frowned as Naruto just looked at the two-guard before pulling out his wallet. It's not like 20,000 ryo was going to be much of a dent against him from the money he had robbed of that guy he struck back in Taki. Let them take it. Naruto hoped they choked on the money. The men counted the bills before putting them away. Having your slaves unattended in another village is usually uncommon for slave masters. Would you like them branded? He asked. Naruto wasn't sure, but something in the way the man at the right said that had made him uneasy. Almost as if he was looking forward to Naruto's acceptance. Well, Naruto wasn't about to give him the satisfaction. No, I don't need them branded. I trust they'll be fine on their own, Naruto said, turning back to Fu and Suzumabachi, a small smile his easing of their worries. Fu and Suzumabachi only gave small smiles and bows in return. The Chunin merely snorted. Yeah, alright brat. Just know that if they cause any trouble then you're in trouble as their master. Other than that, you may enter Konoha Shinobi, the Chunin said. Kakashi quickly thanked the Chunin as Naruto made his way back. Are you okay, master? Fu asked. Naruto just smiled. Just tired, Databayo, Naruto remarked back. It was true, between the walk and that talk just then, Naruto already felt worn out from the day. Well, you're in luck, Naruto. We'll be staying for a little while. I'm sure you'll get your rest, Kakashi said. Naruto snorted a reply as the team walked through the narrow corridor of Suna's walls before finally entering the village. Kakashi could honestly say he was amused at the looks of awe on his team's face. Not even Fu and Suzumabachi could hide some form of surprise from their faces. They watched people walk through the village hidden in the sand. Don't let any sand get caught in your mouths, you five, Kakashi said. The genin and slaves closed their mouths, a little embarrassed to be caught that way. Naruto looked over the village. It was definitely sandy, but the way that they had sand sculptures for houses was actually rather interesting in Naruto's eyes. He couldn't understand how so many people could wear that hot clothing, but he was sure it was because they were accustomed to this arid temperature. So what do we do now, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked. Kakashi gave a light smile. Well, first we go check into our hotel and then we do our mission. Now we are in another village, so let's try to keep a professional attitude and represent our village well, Kakashi said. Sasuke snorted while Naruto rolled his eyes. Sakura just groaned to herself. No one believed the Jonin's words at all. But who were they to complain? It was odd how fast they were able to grab a hotel and get their stuff settled. Well, perhaps for Naruto it was better to say that Fu and Suzumabachi got his stuff settled, though he had tried to tell both that they would do it together. Naruto could only sigh. Sometimes he wondered if Suzumabachi and Fu were doing this on purpose just to mess with him. Unfortunately, Naruto couldn't enjoy the Suna experience for very long as Kakashi gathered Team 7 together to go to the Council of Suna. Naruto could only groan. This wasn't as exciting as he hoped it would be, but he quickly let it go. Leaving, master? Fu asked as Naruto opened the door. He gave a nod. Yeah, we're gonna complete the mission and go to the council. I'll be back soon. I guess you guys can do what you want until I get back. I think I'll be gone for maybe an hour or two. Just be careful, okay guys? Naruto asked. Fu and Suzumabachi nodded. Both bowed as Naruto waved a goodbye and then closed the door. So what now? Fu asked. Suzumabachi turned. I guess we're free for right now. We could look around. When I was in IWA I often heard that Suna has some good books. I guess I can find something to read, Suzumabachi said. Fu blinked and she openly groaned. She hated reading. It was so boring. Suzumabachi grinned at Fu's mood. And what do you like? Suzumabachi asked, placing her hands on her hips. Fu pouted. Movies, she said a little sheepishly. Suzumabachi rolled her eyes. She supposed they could stop by a video store if they really needed to as well. Meanwhile, Naruto finally caught up with his team. Kakashi-sensei, you said that we should anticipate being away for a while, but other than our walk here it's been rather uneventful. Why are we staying in Suna if we're just making a delivery? Sakura asked. Kakashi turned to her. Well, this is to the Council of Suna after all. I would imagine that they will hand us a reply to give back to our own council. Also, we have to worry of the way back as well. We were fortunate to not come across any problems on our way over here, Kakashi said with a smile. Sasuke gave a hard glare. One that Naruto easily noticed. This is a C-rank mission. What should we have been concerned about? Sasuke asked. Naruto supposed that was true. The mission was actually easy by the last couple of missions. If his team's track record for having a mission more difficult than the rank said it was, could have been anything to go by. Kakashi only gave a small smile. Well, if our last mission was anything to go by, then there is actually a lot we need to be concerned about. But maybe our luck is finally beginning to take shape, Kakashi said. Naruto snorted. You're right. Naruto and his team, with some time, had made it to the Kazekage mansion. Stop right there. Who are you and what do you want with Kazekage-sama? A man asked from the side. Kakashi quickly came up to him. We have a deliver for the Council of Suna from Konoha, Kakashi said, holding up the letter. The man narrowed his eyes at the Konoha shinobi for a moment. Naruto took the moment to observe the man. He was a very tall man. He had two distinctive, red markings on the right side of his face, the only visible part of his head, with the rest being covered by his turban-like headgear and by a sheet hanging from it on the left side of his face. He donned the standard attire of a Sunanin, complete with a forehead protector and flak jacket like Naruto had seen many of the other shinobi in this area dress. Naruto could tell somehow. He didn't know how, but he could tell this man was on Kakashi's level, perhaps a par or two below it, but Naruto could feel the man's strength. Naruto didn't know it, but the same could have been said for Sasuke. He was staring at the man a little harder than he perhaps intended. He could feel a strange chakra radiating from the man. Perhaps Suna wasn't as weak as his father had told him about those couple of times. This man was the real deal. Just like Zabuza was. Foreign shinobi are not permitted to be without an escort. I will deliver the letter to the council. You can be on your way, the man said with a small glare. Kakashi met him with a glare of his own, albeit a bit more light-hearted. The glare on the man's face only hardened at Kakashi's gave way to a small chuckle. I apologize, but I can't take you up on your offer. My instructions were to either give this your Kazekage or your council. No one lesser, Kakashi said with a grin, though the man couldn't see it. The frown on his face deepened in such a way that Sakura almost took a step back out of habit. The man stared at her for a moment before he turned back to Kakashi. Master Baki, there you are. Team 7 and the man named Baki turned and noticed a boy about Naruto's age running up to the man. Naruto blinked at the boy's tone before turning back to see Baki's light glare. What do you want? I thought I told you not to address like that in public, Baki said with a sharp glare that made the boy cringe. Jigomen Master Baki, but Temari-sama asked that I get you. She said that you were late, the boy said. Baki really a hard sigh. Naruto and the rest of his team seemed bewildered. Baki turned to the boy. Good, you did your job, now go back to the house and tend to the place. Also quit calling me master. Baki said a little more harder. The young boy shrunk beneath Baki's gaze before he bowed. Hi, Gomen Baki-sama. I will take my leave, the boy said before he turned and ran off. The team watched him go before Sakura turned to the Suna Jonin. Hey, you didn't have to be so mean to your own son. What did he do to you? Sakura asked with a hard huff. Her strength in her question didn't last very long, as Baki probably gave her the hardest look she had ever received in her life. He's not my son, and it doesn't matter how I treat my slaves. I will escort you to Kazekage-sama. Follow me, he said. Sakura's words died in her throat as Baki made his way to the Kazekage mansion. Naruto shivered at those words. This Suna Jonin was a slave master. He turned his head to the right and noticed the small image of the boy in the distance. He was a slave. You didn't have to talk to him like that. Like he wasn't even human. You didn't have to belittle him. Naruto snarled out, which earned a slight pause from Baki. Hatake Kakashi, I would suggest that you keep your genin under control. They had better remember that this is Sunagakure and not their little tree-ridden home. I don't care how slaves are treated back in Konoha. This is how it is in Suna. You called him human, well, he isn't human. He's property. That's all he will ever be, Baki said before he walked forward. Naruto reddened in anger as he clutched his fists. Kakashi stopped whatever thoughts were running through Naruto's head with a hand to his shoulder. Naruto, he's right. He is able to treat his property how he sees fit. Even if it is rather unpleasant. This isn't something you can deal with. You can only toughen up and let it go, Kakashi said. Naruto glared so hard into Baki's back that he was hoping for the man to burst into a sea of fire and brimstone, but Naruto had heard Kakashi's words and released his pent-up aggression. Yes, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto hissed out as the team followed after the man named Baki. Baki had quickly gotten Team 7 through the Kazekage mansion. If Naruto were honest, then Baki seemed to be moving rather fast. He probably wanted the team as far away from the Kazekage as possible. Naruto didn't understand where all of this mistrust was coming from, but he couldn't get it out of his head the encounter from earlier. Now Naruto knew that a master didn't have to be nice, but perhaps he had some kind of inflated view that a master would at the very least treat their slaves civilly. Apparently Baki had shown him that this wasn't the case in Sunagakure. Granted, Naruto didn't see how slaves were treated in Konoha, but he assumed it was a little better, or at least he believed it was. I'm not going to be like you, Naruto thought as he looked at Baki. After a small trip, the group of 5 stood in front of a door. No funny business, any of you. Handle your business and then get out, Baki said. Kakashi just nodded, and that seemed to satisfy the Suna Jonin for now. He knocked on the door. Enter, came a firm voice. By your acceptance, Kazekage-sama, Baki said as he opened the door, which allowed Team 7 to enter. Baki didn't get very far into the door before Naruto nearly missed the man's light shiver. He must not have been the only one who noticed, because Kakashi's eye narrowed for a moment before Baki continued moving. He stepped inside along with Team 7. Everyone quickly noticed that they weren't alone. A boy with red hair and a gourd strapped this back stood between the team and the Kazekage. I'll speak with you later, Gaara. Return to your team, the Kazekage said. Naruto noticed the redhead boy turn around, and for a second their eyes locked. Naruto remembered the pressure when he faced those 2 missing nin chunin from Kirigakure. He remembered the pressure when he fought Zabuza along with Sasuke in order to free Kakashi. He remembered the pressure when he and Sasuke fought Haku. He also remembered the pressure when he, Sasuke, and Shibuki fought Suion. Right now, those eyes froze Naruto. The pressure currently was 5 times what he remembered. The boy named Gaara took a step forward and passed by Naruto and his team without a second thought. He turned a corner and vanished. Sakura released her breath while Sasuke and Naruto looked back at the door that the boy just left. Kazekage-sama, a team from Konoha has arrived. They have a letter for the council, sir, Baki said. The Kazekage looked up from his work. Naruto found it a little interesting that the man's hair was just like the boy's who had just left, if a little darker. Sheesh, by the man's stern expression, he looked like had never smiled a day in his life. You are dismissed, Baki. Good work, he said. Baki merely gave a salute before he turned around, gave one last glare to Kakashi and his team, and walked out of the room before he closed the door, which left the Kazekage and Team 7 alone. Or so it probably seemed. So to what do I owe the honor of having Konoha shinobi in my village? You have a letter for my council and myself. No doubt from your own council, I would assume. Why should I accept your letter after this strait you've put my village in? You're rather far away from home, aren't you? He asked. Sakura gave a sharp gulp while Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Naruto just folded his arms while Kakashi cleared his throat. We meant no disrespect in this letter, Kazekage-sama. Konoha has learned of Sanegakure's situation, and we wouldn't be so uncouth to think you need any sympathy for your situation. However, our Hokage has felt that while the Wind Daimyo's decision was unexpected, we are still abiding by a treaty between our nations, and no treaty can stand without some form of goodwill. That's why we have been sent to give you this letter, Kakashi said as simply and smoothly as he possibly could. The Kazekage gave him a hard look. He then looked at the copy ninjas Genin team. A civilian girl, a Uchiha, and a boy with an odd presence. He stared at Naruto for a time. Am I seeing things? There were no rumors of the Yondaime having a child, the Kazekage thought to himself before he shook his head. He looked back to Kakashi's stare. Well, you'll forgive me if I'm a little skeptical of your intentions. But I suppose I can't slight much against Konoha since they came all this way here. Have the blonde Genin give it to me, the Kazekage said. Soon all eyes landed on Naruto. Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi looked at Naruto in surprise. Naruto looked a little shocked as well. What? Why me? Why do I have to do it? Naruto asked. The Kazekage gave a hard glare. I'll tell you simply. Because I don't trust your sensei. That is all there is to it. Unless there is a reason you can hand it to me, he said with a snort to add. Naruto's eyebrow twitched as Kakashi rubbed his hair and internally sighed. How complicated. Well, looks like you'll have to give him the letter, Naruto, Kakashi said, handing the blonde the scroll. Naruto gawked in Kakashi's face and at his sensei's eyes smile. Naruto gave Kakashi a light frown before he pulled up his hand and grabbed the letter. He then turned to the Kazekage and walked up to the man. Naruto's eyes and the Kazekage's eyes never left each other. Naruto couldn't be sure, but he actually felt like he was being probed right now. It was almost like every strength or weakness that he ever had was laid in front of the most powerful shinobi in Suna. Yet Naruto could get nothing from this guy in front of him. It only showed the gap in experience. Naruto appeared before the Kazekage and held out his hand. Here, Naruto said, holding out the letter. Naruto, be more respectful to Kazekage-sama, Sakura hissed out. Naruto didn't seem to be listening to her as he and the Kazekage stared at each other for a moment. The Kazekage took the letter into his hands. Good. I will review this with my council at a later date. Until then, you are welcome to enjoy Sanegakure until we give you our reply. You can show yourselves the way out, the Kazekage said. Naruto resisted the urge to snarl, be grimaced. A sudden burning sensation raced through his arm. He quickly looked down and noticed his master seal burning. Kyuso, Naruto said before nearly shocking everyone as he charged for the door. Naruto! Where are you going? Kakashi asked as Naruto pulled open the door in rampant haste. The Kazekage raised an eyebrow as Naruto turned around, fear evident on his face. Something is happening to Fu-san and Suzumabachi-san. I gotta go. Naruto nearly shouted as he ran past the corner and pushed a couple of people out of the way. Sasuke and Sakura glanced to each other, but neither wasted any time in running after Naruto. Kakashi wasn't very far behind. The Kazekage watched the team leave before a shinobi appeared behind them. Investigate. Interfere if needed, he said. The shinobi gave a nod. At once, Raza-sama, the shinobi said before they vanished into the wind. Raza looked back at his closed door before he moved into his work. So Konoha had a living secret as well? Now this was a surprise. Not like it would truly change anything regardless of the fact. He quickly signed a document, but a small smirk made its way to his face. Perhaps he could find some use for this group after all. Meanwhile, Suzumabachi pulled Fu back and growled as Asuna Genin gave them both a hard look. I'm just saying that you slaves should remember to watch where you're going. You almost pushed me down. What kind of master do you have that can't even discipline you? The least you could say is sorry for bumping into me. He snarled as Suzumabachi and Fu gave him looks of their own. Why should I say sorry to you? You're the one who bumped into me. We were minding our own business, Su. Fu argued back as the Suna genin gave a light grin. Obviously you aren't from Suna or you are new here, but slaves aren't meant to talk back to regular folks without their master present. Someone should discipline the both of you, he said with a growl as he slowly began to unwrap the figure that had been tied to his back. Fu gasped as Suzumabachi frowned. Alright, fine, we're sorry for bumping into you. Can we drop it now? Suzumabachi asked as the Suna genin snorted. Like I'll accept your little apology now. You can say sorry while I discipline you since your master won't. He growled. Suzumabachi growled as she reached into her pouch and pulled out a kunai. The Suna genin seemed surprised for a moment before he grinned. Oh, you really don't want to do that? Any slaves in Suna carrying a dangerous weapon is instantly confined and detained, especially against a village's shinobi. That only shows me that you really must not be used to things here, he said as Suzumabachi growled. My master gave me one right. The right to defend myself, no matter the situation. Suzumabachi argued back as the Suna genin growled. Then you'd better defend yourself well, bitch, he shouted as Suzumabachi watched the wrapped figure behind the cloth charge at her. Suzumabachi gave a sharp gasp as she tightened the grip on her kunai. A flash appeared across her face as two sets of feet bashed against the wrapped figure, which sent it into the ground with a crash which picked up dust. The Suna genin seemed surprised for a moment as the dust cleared. Fu and Suzumabachi opened their eyes, and their surprise couldn't have been more obvious as they saw Naruto standing between them and their assailant. Who the hell are you? The boy asked before he noticed the Konoha headband. Naruto gave him a sharp glare before he turned back to Suzumabachi and Fu. You guys alright? You're not hurt, are you? Naruto asked as he checked both for injuries. Fu seemed to get out of her surprise the fastest as she felt a small well of comfort seeing her master's face. We're fine, Master Su, Fu responded. Naruto gave a grin and a sigh of relief. Awesome, then I got here just in time, Naruto said with a smile. You did great, Suzumabachi-san. I'm glad you both remembered what I said, Databeo. Naruto remarked as Suzumabachi slowly nodded. She slowly placed away her kunai as Naruto turned around and glared at the Suna genin. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, the master of these two. Who are you and why are you attacking them? Naruto asked angrily as the Suna genin gave a look of surprise. So, they really weren't from Suna? So you're their master? No wonder they don't have any manners with a shorty like you. Your little girls bumped into me and didn't even apologize, he said while Naruto snorted. Well then I guess you suck as a genin if you don't even have the awareness to avoid getting bumped by others, Naruto instigated. The Suna genin growled as his finger twitched. Watch it, punk. You don't know who you're messing with, the boy growled. Naruto folded his arms. Wrong, you're the one who doesn't know who he's messing with if you attack our teammate. I would suggest you watch your step. Naruto, Suzumabachi, and Fu turned around to see Sasuke and Sakura walking in from the distance. The Suna genin frowned. Well, it's the other tree huggers. You Konoha shinobi always couldn't handle anything on your own, always needing your little friends to back you up, he said as Sakura growled. Sasuke and Naruto hardened their frowns. Well, if that's the case, you're more than welcome to attack us. We'll just report it back to the Kazekage who we just left from. Attacking foreign shinobi on a diplomatic mission could make things worse off for your village, couldn't it? Sakura asked. The Suna genin snarled for a second. He definitely saw what the kunoichi was trying to do, and he hated that it was working. There you are. Oi Kankuro, what the hell are you doing? The Suna genin grimaced as he turned around and noticed a blonde-haired girl walking up to him. Don't get involved, Tamari. I'm about to show these tree huggers not to start shit they can't finish in our village. The genin named Kankuro growled as Tamari turned back to the group from Konoha. She then sighed and smacked Kankuro over the head. I don't care about your issues. Work them out later. Baki-sensei is looking for you. He sent me to get your dumb butt. You always don't want to piss off Gaara, do you? Let's go, she said as she grabbed Kankuro's ear and pulled him off despite his complaints. As she walked off, Temari gave one last look to Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. She snorted before she and Kankuro turned a corner and left. The team watched them leave before Naruto released a breath. You guys sure you're okay? He asked one more time. Hi, Master. Sorry that we involved you. We didn't mean to cause any trouble, Suzumabachi said, but Naruto waved her off. There's one like that in every village, I guess. At least you're okay, Naruto said with a smile. Fu and Suzumabachi nodded with small bows and smiles of their own. But master, how did you know where to find us? And how did you know we were in trouble? Fu asked. Naruto quickly held up his master seal. There was a burning feeling from my seal. I ran out of the Kazekage office and I sent clones in every direction. I was just likely that I was the real one who found you guys, Naruto said. Fu and Suzumabachi quickly nodded to that as well, which gave Kakashi just enough time to arrive. I assume all incidents have been taken care of? He asked. Everyone nodded as Naruto growled. That guy, Kankuro, he swung something at Suzumabachi and Fu, Naruto said. Sasuke and Sakura nodded. That was most likely a puppet master. Sunigakure is known for their mastery of puppets. I would think that Genin is a part of the puppet corps here, Suzumabachi said. Naruto blinked. Kakashi seemed surprised as well. Interesting that an IWA Genin would know that. While it wasn't uncommon knowledge, it wasn't exactly common either. How do you know that? Sakura asked, a little surprised. Suzumabachi blinked. Apparently Konoha's education wasn't as extensive as Iwagakure's. We learned about that in history class. It's something every Iwagakure Academy student learns before they become Genin, Suzumabachi said. She noticed Sakura and Naruto scratched their cheeks while Sasuke folded his arms and closed his eyes. Even Fu didn't hide the blush of embarrassment on her face. Suzumabachi gawked. Seriously? No academy other than Iwagakure taught that? The former IWA Kunoichi almost felt the urge to groan. Well, we had a rather eventful day. Shall we go back to the hotel? Kakashi asked. Team 7 looked at him before they nodded and the group quickly left the area. Out of the corner of Kakashi's eye, he noticed a swift movement on the rooftops. Looks like they wouldn't be able to rest as much as they thought. Back at the Kazekage office, Raza quickly assembled his council. He had just finished reading the letter. I admit that it sounds suspicious, but perhaps this is the chance we were looking for. Perhaps we might be able to take this under consideration, one of the council members said before another leaned forward. We'd better not forget that Konoha's the one who put us in this position in the first place, she said with a slight frown. Well, technically it wasn't Konoha, but rather it was the Wind Daimyo who switched over to their services. Though I will admit that I don't see a reason as to why Konoha would truly try to help us, another said off to the side. The team from Konoha's Jonin instructor told me that the Sandaime valued our treaty. This is supposed to be a type of solution to both predicaments, Raza said as the council remained quiet for a moment. If we did accept this, then all the planning will have gone to waste, I'm sure. Are we willing to throw that away? One asked. Raza continued to hear others talk before a shinobi appeared behind him. They whispered into his ear and Raza's glare hardened for a moment before the shinobi left. It seems that team from Konoha had an incident with my son. It turns out that the blonde of the team is a slave master with 2 slaves, Raza said with a frown. The council members murmured among themselves for a moment. It seems one of his slaves pulled out a weapon against my son, Raza said. This seemed to quickly trigger everyone, but Raza held up his hand. I will be having a talk with Kankuro later. Turns out he caused the incident, but this does bring up an interesting opportunity, Raza said with a finger to his chin. What are you talking about, Kazekage-sama? It's against the law in Suna to harm a shinobi, especially for a slave, one of the councilmen said. Raza indeed knew that, and dare he say that he was probably going to have a bit of joy in letting them be known to the Konoha team when he summoned them tomorrow. Slowly the Kazekage began to speak with his council on his thoughts. The sun set in the sky and the moon quickly took its place. Naruto leaned on the ledge as the arid wind breezed through his face. Master, why are you out here? Naruto turned and noticed Suzumabachi and Fu looked at him from the door that led to the outside. Naruto gently smiled. Nothing, just thinking about today is all. Har Naruto thinking? Don't kid yourself, right? Naruto asked, but he only noticed Fu and Suzumabachi looking at him. Master, you receive insults regularly? Fu asked. She had noticed how his teammates had treated him. His female teammates seemed to treat him the worst. His other teammate wasn't exactly mean, but he wasn't exactly friendly either. Meh, just take them in stride, I guess. I was the dead last in the academy, Naruto said. Suzumabachi and Fu nearly seemed surprised by his statement. Well, master, I don't think the dead last of an academy would be able to sneak through a slave auction, Suzumabachi said. Naruto couldn't stop a chuckle. Sure, it wasn't the best, but Naruto knew where the heart of the comment was. Thanks, Suzumabachi. You guys did great. I'm glad you defended yourselves. I don't care about the price I have to pay. I don't care how other masters treat their slaves. I want you both to defend yourselves, Naruto said. Fu and Suzumabachi nodded. We will, master, Fu said. Naruto gave her one last nod before he turned over and walked with them back inside. In another part of the village, Baki's eyes scanned a scroll as many thoughts raced through his mind. This is your team's mission from Kazekage-sama. Your team must follow through, came a voice from behind Baki. The man gave a light glare before he furled up the scroll. That was fine by him. He felt the presence behind him leave as he made his way back into his house. No one was wiser to the deed that had just transpired. Next morning, Naruto groaned as a knock came onto his door. He opened one of his eyes. Who the hell could have been up this early in the morning? I will get it, master. Naruto groggily heard Fu say as she leapt from the bed that she and Suzumabachi were sharing as Naruto slept in the other one. Fu gave a short yawn before moving from their room and to the door. Kami, bless her heart. Naruto was nearly close to going back to sleep before he felt Fu's hand on his shoulder. Master, there is a Tsunajonin here for you, Fu said. Naruto opened one of his eyes and groaned to himself. Thanks, Fu, Naruto said with a tired yawn. In time, Naruto leaned up and walked to the door to the entrance of his hotel. He opened it. Are you Uzumaki Naruto? The Tsunajonin asked. Naruto rubbed his eyes. Who wants to know? Naruto asked as he opened his eyes only to notice a scroll in front of his face. The Tsunajonin stared at him. You and the rest of your team are to report to Kazekage-sama as soon as possible. Get dressed, he ordered before he tossed the scroll in Naruto's face. He then left, leaving Naruto in confusion. Of course, Suzumabachi and Fu made their appearance as Naruto opened the scroll. He quickly read its contents and for once Naruto turned fearfully to his slaves. Kakashi-sensei! Naruto shouted at the top of his lungs, waking the entire hotel they stayed in. Needless to say, no one was happy with the Konoha team at that moment in time. The walls rumbled as Sasuke, Sakura and Kakashi were startled awake. Sakura groaned while Sasuke cursed whatever god was running their lives. Kakashi fell from his bed and sighed. Wasn't this supposed to be a vacation? He said he wouldn't give them any training. This was just being mean. I said I was sorry. I needed you awake, Naruto said as they walked through the village. And you couldn't have just knocked on our doors like a regular person? Kami, I think you gave me a headache, Sakura said. Naruto snorted as he gave a short murmur. Like you're one to talk, Sakura, Naruto said underneath his breath, which thankfully Sakura hadn't heard. Mama Sakura, this is rather important. It's not uncommon for the Kage of other allying nations to ask for help from the other shinobi. We are rather obligated to help. We will see what the problem is and then we'll decide our course of action. Though, I do wonder why he specifically asked for Naruto, Suzumabachi, and Fu, Kakashi said as he watched both former kunoichi walk behind their master at a leisurely pace. Is this about yesterday? When that guy Kankuro was about to fight us? Sakura asked. Kakashi shrugged his shoulders. He didn't know what it was by, but that was most likely the case seeing as how Naruto had never told of himself being a slave master except to that Tsunajonin. We weren't in the wrong. That guy made the first move and that's what we'll tell them. If they have a problem then we'll make sure that they don't, Sasuke said, which seemed to surprise the rest of the team, but no one seemed to argue against him. In time, Team 7 made it back to the Kazekage office. They walked up the familiar stairs and Naruto wasn't sure, but he felt like he was back in Konoha. Why? People were staring at him. It wasn't outright, but he could see the subtleness of eye movement, or the twitching of heads. They were looking at him, but it wasn't in malice or anger, it was curiosity perhaps. Naruto wasn't sure, but he didn't like it. Normally as an attention addict, and Naruto knew he was an attention addict, one was happy to be looked at, but not this subtle look that everyone was carrying. Naruto just didn't like it. Finally, Naruto and the rest of the team made it to the door of the Kazekage's room. Kakashi quickly knocked on the door. Team 7 Kazekage-sama, Kakashi called. Come in, came the acceptance of Tsuna's Kage as Kakashi opened the door. Everyone filed in and they quickly noticed the Tsunajonin from yesterday, Baki, standing along with his team. Naruto quickly noticed the red-haired boy with the gourd from yesterday. He also noticed the blonde-haired girl that had dragged Kankuro away, Termari if he recalled. Naruto's eyes followed to the third member of the team. Naruto quickly gawked. You're that asshole from yesterday? Naruto shouted, pointing a finger in Kankuro's direction, making the genin snarl. Who the hell are you calling an asshole, punk? Kankuro growled out, which caused Temari to giggle despite herself. Gaara didn't move from his place, and he didn't pay any attention to the interaction. Kankuro, control yourself. You're in the presence of the Kazekage.